Johnny Dollar?
Bob Douglas, Corinthian Life, Johnny. How soon can you leave for California?
Right away. My right big toe needs defrosting. What's the matter?
A policyholder, young fellow named Jefferson, went west on an oil deal and he's disappeared. It might be murder.
Well, I guess I'd better pack 2 shirts. Looking for one man in a big state like California can be murder.
Edmund O'Brien in the transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Great Corinthian Life Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of my expenditures during process of search for your missing policyholder, youthful millionaire Alec Jefferson, or how they were drilling for oil, for what they struck was me. Expense account item 1, $186.13. Airfare, Hartford to Los Angeles. Item 2, $15. Hire car, airport to office of Rebel Wildcatters Incorporated on potential oil land in the New Hall, Saugus District. I arrived at 9:30 a.m. A handful of dirt dentists were hard at it, drilling at a rig not 30 feet from the shack-type office.
Pull it over, will you?
Better stand by, driver. My man may not be here. Morning. Can you tell me where I'll find Mr. Flaherty?
You're talking to him. I'm Mars Flaherty. What can I do for you?
My name is Johnny Dollar, Mr. Flaherty.
Yeah?
I've been sent out here by the Corinthian Life Insurance Company to see if I can get a track on your partner, Alec Jefferson.
I see. Well, it's their money you're spending, Dollar, so I don't care much if you waste it. But if you don't mind my saying so, I do think you're going to be wasting your time.
Well, I get paid by the day.
Then I guess you don't mind wasting time. Oh, look, don't get the idea I'm just naturally pessimistic. I'm not. It's just that I've already done a lot of looking for young Jefferson, and when that bird flew the coop, he didn't leave a feather you could trace him by.
Well, do you have any objection to giving me a few details?
No. Sit down. Not at all.
Thank you. To save time, maybe I'd better tell you what I already know.
Well, it can't be much.
It isn't. I suppose you realize Corinthian Life is the administrator of Jefferson's father's estate.
Yeah. I know that.
Well, having charge of the money, they naturally know that young Jefferson financed this operation.
That's right. His money, my experience. The only thing we needed was a little more luck.
Well, there you have it. That's all I've got. What can you tell me?
That whatever young Alexander got, he was asking for. For a guy built like a cream puff, he got mighty strong around here. Around an oil field, that isn't healthy even for a big guy.
How do you mean he got strong?
Too much money, too much opinion. That mixed up with too many other men's women can mean trouble for anybody.
Any particular women?
Too many.
Mind telling me who they are?
No. Matter of fact, I got a list right here. Yeah, you can have it. I already tried it.
Just one more thing.
Yeah?
How and when did he drop out of sight?
A week ago last night. Yeah, he left here at 5 o'clock for his apartment on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood. He never got there. I checked that, too. Here, yeah. Give me that paper back for a minute. I'll write down the address.
Thanks. Well, I'll be around. Oh, by the way, the first thing we try to figure out in my racket is who would benefit most. How would you like to have him found? Dead or alive?
Either way, Dollar. I can take it. I've lost partners before.
I spent the next 20 minutes on a long shot, thinking I could pick up some information from the drillers. But it was a long shot that missed. Those guys wouldn't have told me it was a nice day. The outdoor life having got me nowhere, I decided to give the indoor type a try. First stop, Jefferson's apartment on the Sunset Strip. The lock was foolproof, but I wasn't fooling. The joint was decorated in a lovely shade of hangover green, a series of alcohol rings from the bottoms of glasses carrying out the motif on all flat surfaces. In the living room, I found several pieces of loosely strewn feminine attire. In the bedroom, I found one piece of loosely strewn female.
Hey, who are you? What do you want?
Oh, sorry. I understood this was Alec Jefferson's apartment.
It is?
Oh.
You can drop your eyebrows, mister. I'm his wife.
I beg your pardon?
You heard me. I'm Mrs. Alec Jefferson. Pass me that robe, will you? Now to make coffee?
Yeah, why?
Well, how about making me some while I go put on a face?
I guess so.
You'll probably have to wash the percolator.
To me, the best grounds for divorce would be coffee grounds and an unwashed percolator. So I washed it. I also made the coffee, wondering the while how she had made the matrimonial grade. Right then and there, I'd have given her the Bad Housekeeping Award. She looked like the kind of a girl who could get into a beauty contest, but like she'd never win it. Any way you looked at her, she was a new complication. Your coffee's ready.
Yeah, thanks. Good. Find any clean cups?
No, but I washed two. Here.
Thanks. Now, would you mind telling me who you are?
I'm an insurance investigator. I'm looking for your husband.
Well, I wish you'd find him. I could use some money.
How long have you two been married?
Few weeks. Why?
Routine question. Tell me, when was the last time you saw him?
I was waiting here for him the night he disappeared.
Any witnesses?
If I need him.
Okay. Tell me this. Do you have any idea why he disappeared or where he is?
Not the slightest.
Do you know a man named Morris Flaherty?
Yeah. Yeah, I sure do.
How well?
I was his girl.
So? By the way, have the police come to you yet?
No, I went to them. You see, I'm the one who reported Alec missing.
Do you know whether they've come up with anything?
Nothing much. Up until now, he's just a missing person. They put Alec's picture on a television every night. I don't know that they're doing much else. They keep calling him a Caucasian.
Look, please don't get so hysterical about this. It makes you so hard to question.
Huh?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, I get it. Excuse me if I seem dense this morning.
Morning. It's 3 in the p.m.
All right, so everything about me's wrong.
That's right.
Look, you can think that I married him for his money if you want to. Suppose you're used to suspecting everybody of everything. But have you heard? There are two sides to every marriage. Do I look strong enough to have carried him to the altar?
I never weighed him. But answer me this. If he swept you off your feet, why did he pull a fade out in the middle of the honeymoon?
What should I know? Maybe he'd never seen a dame without makeup on before and had to go someplace to think it out. I wonder if there's anything to eat. I'm hungry.
Look, I think I'd better be going. I'm not much of a cook. When you're working on a case, your nerve ends are easily disturbed. So when I left the house and saw a hardtop blue Plymouth parked opposite the apartment, mine clanged an alarm. In the car sat an equally hard-topped man reading holes in a newspaper. I gave him the slow walk-away and quick turn treatment, and I caught him with his newspaper down. Then I had to go into my act. Why, George, you old son of a gun.
Huh?
Oh, my gosh, it's good to see you.
What are you talking about? My name ain't George.
What? Well, I'll be. What you know is I came out of the house, I got half a look at you, and as I started to walk away, the face registered. Why, mister, you're a dead ringer for an old school pal of mine, George Pfeiffer. Now, how do you like that? Look, come here. Let me take a closer look. Come here.
All right, look out.
Sleep tight. Okay, Sleeping Beauty, over you go. I'll drive. I turned the car up into the Hollywood Hills, found an empty house with a for sale sign out front and a garage out back, and drove in. His wallet was bulging with everything but money and information. An ID card gave his name as Philip Wilkins, his occupation as private detective. The next fact I came up with was that Mr. Wilkins was a light sleeper. He came to to find me still fishing through his wallet.
Give me that.
Okay, hold it, mister. Take it easy. Here, you can have your wallet back. Now, keep calm, and everything's going to be all right. If you don't, I'll have to give your whiskers another dusting.
Oh, look, what's a big idea? What'd you slug me for?
You know why, Mr. Wilkins. Because you had a plant on me, and I figured if you were that curious about me, I wanted to know more about you.
You're nuts. I wasn't watching you. I was watching that house you come out of. There's a dame in there that I'm getting paid to tail.
I can't afford to be convinced of that. Who hired you?
I'm not telling. You or anybody else, Mr. Dollar.
Oh, word travels fast. First you tell me you're not watching me, then you also tell me you know who I am.
So what? Is that illegal? You went to see the dame that I'm watching. I was told you'd probably be around, and you was. You'll be in my report.
If you're healthy enough to make it. What were you really doing with that stakeout? Were you watching the apartment, waiting for somebody to show up? Do you really have a tail on Mrs. Jefferson? Or did you follow me in from the oil fields?
Why should I follow you? Maybe you and I got the same approach to this case. You found him yet?
No, but it's still early. Who else is interested in finding Jefferson?
Well, I hear he's quite a playboy. Maybe one of his playmates wants him served with breach of promise papers. Oh, come on, Donald, let's face it. I can't tell you who I'm working for. You know that. It ain't ethical.
It's not ethical to let yourself get picked up as easily as I picked you up either. But let it go. I don't suppose by any chance you know a man named Mars Flaherty.
No him. I'd like to see one of his derricks fall on him.
Why so? What did he do to you?
A couple of days ago, I went out there to try and sell him some information. He had 3 of his men beat me up and throw me off the oil field.
Yeah?
What's with that look? Don't you believe me?
Who knows? You might be telling me you hate Mars Flaherty to keep me from thinking you're working for him.
I think you better get out of this car and let me drive away, Dollar. You're in a lot of trouble.
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't think so? I can have you pulled in for kidnapping.
If that's what you have in mind, then first you'd better get a few witnesses for yourself. Now, come on, suppose you calm down for a minute. If you really hate that guy, well, maybe we can make a deal.
If it's against him, I'll deal with him.
How much do you know about Flaherty?
My bookie's marked lousy from way back. He's promoted about 50 wells, and none of them ever happened. He's wild to hit oil. It's my guess that he's got a hunch that this is the big one. That's why I think his partner disappeared.
Yeah, what difference would that make? Even if his partner turned up dead, Flaherty would still have to split any profits with young Jefferson's estate.
Maybe not. I know they had a queer deal.
Well, who'd know about that deal besides Flaherty and Jefferson?
I don't know. But I do know one way of finding out what it is.
How's that?
Flaherty keeps all his papers in the safe in his office. I've even got the combination. I'll give it to you.
You keep it. Wilkins, I still don't know who you're trying to get even with, Flaherty or me. So what I'm going to do is give you half a break. Then I'll only be taking half a chance.
Yeah, then why don't you want the combination to the safe?
I don't need it. You're going to open that safe. Because you're going out there with me. Tonight.
Here. This window.
Okay.
Now, here. You handle the glass cutter.
Right.
Now, look. Here's what we do. I'll wet this suction cup. Get a grip on the glass, see? Now, you cut around the outside edge, and I'll lift the paint out in one piece.
Lesson number 1, straight from the burglar's handbook.
There's a little tap with the knuckle. That's it. Okay. All right, in we go.
You first.
Okay. safe is over here.
Get your fingers over that flashlight. For all I know, you might still turn out to be the local Paul Revere.
Yeah, that's right. I might. Here. You hold the light.
Thanks, I will. Go on, get to work.
All right. I'm as anxious to get this over with as you are. All right. Give me a little more light, will you?
Okay.
There you are. All right, go to it.
You go to it. You reach in. And if your hand comes up with anything heavier than papers, I'll cream your skull.
Will you stop your worrying? Here. Nothing here. Nothing. No. All right, you got him, that's all.
Stay down there. I don't want to walk off with anybody's government bonds. Here. I got all I want. You put these back.
All right.
Now, close it up.
All right, now, come on. Let's get out of here.
Just a minute, Wilkins. I gotta have a good look at these papers.
You can look at them later. Come on, let's go.
Look, this I'll give you for free. And it's the difference between being a $4 a day private detective and a $10 one. What you've got printed in your memory, nobody can take away from you. So hold your horses while I take a look at this partnership agreement.
All right. But hurry up, will you? Got a couple of watchmen around here.
Yeah, here it is. Okay, let's go. You first. Okay, back to the car. Make it fast and easy. Get in. Over here. You drive. You know, Wilkins, I had a clammy feeling for a while back there that we weren't going to make it.
Don't go starting any celebrations. You didn't make it.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. But first, and young truly, Johnny Dollar to Bing, Gary Cooper, and young Gary this Wednesday. Now we return to yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Edmund O'Brien.
There I was, wearing a gun muzzle for a back collar button. My left leg picked up the nervous vibrations of my front seatmate, Philip Wilkins. Mars Flaherty in the back seat was so close I could almost identify the brand of the bourbon he'd been drinking.
I suppose you got what you went into the office after, huh?
I not only got it, I memorized it. And it makes you look bad.
Yeah, then I don't have to explain to you why I don't want you two guys or the paper running around town on the loose.
Well, it's a corporate paper. That means it's on file somewhere. So what difference does it make?
Start the car.
Where are we going?
To my house. Go ahead, get going.
Okay, Wilkins, you better roll. What's at your house?
The reason that paper makes a difference right now. The guy you came here looking for showed up.
Alec Jefferson, where is he?
He's where we're going. My place.
Well, then I guess maybe my employers have got nothing to worry about.
Nothing but paying off on his life insurance. Alec Jefferson's dead. Here, Dollar, here's the key. To open the door. Stand next to him, Wilkins. Close. The light switch is on your right. There's your boy, Dollar.
Died young, didn't he?
Yeah, the thing is, it looks like he died in my house. Now, what do I do now?
If you're putting on an innocent act, you're doing pretty good, Flaherty. How's the rest of it go?
I've been around killings before, so I know how the rest of it goes. The cops take one look at this, they grab me, and before that happens, I got some work to do.
So have I been around killings before. And I know how the rest of your story goes. You came into your house and you found him. Somebody hit Jefferson over the head with that piece of firewood to get rid of him and make you look guilty. You're being framed.
Huh?
The next chapter reads you've got 8 witnesses to prove you were at a church social at the probable time of death.
That's the way I wish it read, but I haven't got any witnesses. I've been on the loose out in the hills ever since I saw you this morning.
Oh, yeah? What are you, a nature lover?
An oil man. In my racket, you never stop sniffing. When I came back and found him here, I headed it for the office. I wanted that paper you got out of the way for the time being.
Would that gun of yours object if I looked the body over?
Help yourself.
Thank you.
Any idea how long he's been dead, Dollar?
Oh, hard to tell. Feels like quite a while. Could have happened before I met you.
What do you mean by that?
Nothing. Hey, Flaherty.
Huh?
You ever see this before?
Oh, what is it?
An earring?
Let me see that.
Yeah, hands off. Don't touch it. That's another $4 detective move. You don't touch evidence. You draw a mental picture of it. What are you trying to do? Involve yourself or uninvolve a client? How about it, Flaherty? Do you have any idea who that earring belongs to? Maybe one of the dames on that list you gave me, huh?
I wish I could get away with lying to you, Dollar, but I don't think I'm in a position to try. Huh? It belongs to Ada.
Oh? Jefferson's wife?
Not legally.
What do you mean?
I married her in Mexico in 45. She must have liked the scenery. She took Jefferson down there and went through a ceremony with him 2 weeks ago.
Without divorcing you?
That's right.
You guys really turned out to be partners. How about that earring? How do you know it belongs to Ada?
Well, it's one of a set I bought for her about 6 months ago. Well, I might as well tell you. They'd find out anyway.
Uh-huh. Well, I don't suppose you're in the mood to let me do what I want to do.
What's that?
Call the police?
No, not yet.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. With this piece of evidence that just turned up, you're wasting your time holding on to us. What you should be doing is getting to Ada before she flies the coop. That would really fix you up.
Sure would.
I don't want to see her get loose any more than you do.
Then I guess we better go pay Ada a visit.
All you got is one lousy earring, and if you think I'm going to stand here and listen to you try to pin a murder on me, you're nuts. Mars never bought me anything. He never gave me any earrings.
How about it, Flaherty?
That's too bad, Ada. If I thought there was a chance to help you, I would. But your earring was laying right there on the floor next to his body.
Why, you oily monster, you. What are you trying to do to me? Why, if anybody had reason to kill Alec, you did, you miserable thief.
Now, wait a minute, Ada. Don't make yourself look worse by throwing a lot of accusations around. I know about the contract between Alec and Mars. In case of death, the survivor gains full control of the oil field. But a good piece of evidence will beat out a good piece of motive in any court in the country, and you've got both working against you.
Get out of here. You don't know what you're talking about.
I think I do. Knowing about that agreement, you married both these guys. Those Mexican marriages are just weak enough to help you beat a bigamy rap if it came to that, and just strong enough to help you collect if either of your husbands died. Your next move would be to divorce the one that was still living and take advantage of the California community property laws.
Oh, you've got it all figured out, haven't you?
Well, not quite. I haven't figured out why young Jefferson went to all the trouble of dropping out of sight and then showed up to get himself murdered.
I think I can tell you.
It was about time you told us something.
I was working for Alec Jefferson. That's why I couldn't tell you, Dollar. I was getting paid to help him stay out of sight and keep my eye on these two. The contract had him worried. But when I uncovered the bigamy and told him about it, he decided to go to Flaherty and try and straighten it out, man-to-man basis.
You know that, Ada?
No. I don't know anything about anything.
That's a lie. I was with him this morning when he called you. He told you he was going out there. You had plenty of time to get out there and wait for him.
You can't get away with it. You can't prove anything. Now get out of here!
Not before
I don't mind the gun, Flaherty. I got her.
No, let me go.
Hey, none of that. Around you go. That's better. Yeah, much better. Now, come on, Angel, across the room. Well, Flaherty, don't you think I'd better call the police now?
I'm afraid there's nothing else to do.
Okay, then you hold her.
You get your hands off me, you dirty puppy! No!
Get me police, operator. My name is Dollar. I'm calling from apartment 3C, Horizon View Apartment, Sunset Strip. I've got a murderer here for you. It's out in Newhall, but that can wait. Well, dead bodies usually do, but you never can tell about a killer. Well, that's it. You got a good tight hold on her, Flaherty?
Yeah, I can handle it.
Good. Then handle this.
Are you nuts? What'd you do that for?
I wanted to keep him on ice till the police get here. Morris Flaherty is our boy.
What?
Come here, Ada.
What is it?
Wilkins, take a look at her ears.
What? I don't see nothing wrong with them.
Well, that's just it. That earring we found near the body, it was made for a pierced ear. Ada's aren't. She never could have worn it. Moral? If Flaherty had been a nice enough guy to buy jewelry for his wife when he had her, he wouldn't have bought the wrong kind of earring when he wanted to set her up as a patsy. The police traced his purchase of same to a Main Street pawn shop. But what really nailed him was the biggest switch of all. Since the murder weapon was a shaft of rough bark firewood, there were no fingerprints on it. But by the same token, there were weapon prints on Flaherty's fingers. A batch of tiny splinters under the skin. Inasmuch as my own girl furnished the practice which made me perfect on this case, I assume you will not be annoyed at my listing expense account item 3, $65, one pair gold earrings inscribed to Olga with love. Item 4, $187.13, return transportation Los Angeles to Hartford. Expense account total, $711, signed yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, stars Edmund O'Brien in the title role and is written by Paul Dudley and Gil Dowd, with music composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Edmund O'Brien can currently be seen starring in the Harry M. Popkin United Artists production, DOA. Featured in our cast were Michael Ann Barrett, Ed Max, and Tony Barrett. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. Be sure to join us next Tuesday evening when Edmund O'Brien returns in another transcribed adventure of
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Blizzards in the western states, floods in Texas, hurricanes in Florida, tornadoes in Louisiana. Wherever disaster strikes, the American Red Cross stands ready to lend assistance. The Red Cross helps victims not only at the terrifying moment when disaster strikes, but also in rehabilitation. This is just one of the many nationwide activities of the Red Cross. Give generously to its latest drive. Now stay tuned for the adventures of Philip Marlowe, which follows immediately on most of these stations. This is CBS, where yours truly, Johnny Dollar, meets adventure next Tuesday night, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Time now for Edmund O'Brien as
Johnny Dollar.
Get out of bed and get your gumshoes on, Johnny. You're going to be busy.
Who's this?
Ed Bonner, and I'm calling you from Hartford. Heard you were in Boston this week. Get over to the Elwood Faber department store right away.
Oh, call me later, Ed, would you? It's still 8 o'clock
Look,
in the
we
morning.
got $300,000 worth of liability insurance on their fur department.
Sure, later.
Now they haven't got a fur department anymore. Just had 85 minks stolen.
What?
Edmund O'Brien, in another transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Mr. Ed Bonner, Mutual Liability Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures incurred during investigation of burglary affecting policy issued to Elwood Faber Department Store, Boston, Massachusetts, or the 85 Little Minks. Expense account. Item, $1.90. Taxi fare to Stuart Street entrance of Elwood Faber Department Store, where a police emergency ambulance was standing open. 2 police officers were helping a man in a white coat load a blanket-wrapped figure onto the ambulance litter. I got my first information from the intern.
What's up? Oh, I only work the wagon. I pick up where everything else left off. This guy's name's Cronin. He's a night watchman here.
Dead?
Oh, about an inch away. We already gave him a transfusion upstairs. If the bullets don't kill him, the exposure will.
What does that mean?
Besides holes in his chest, he's also got frostbite. Somebody plugged him, let him lay in the cold storage vault where they keep the furs.
How long ago?
Oh, who knows? All right, Percy, wind it up. Let's get out of here.
An assorted group of reporters and cameramen seemed to be converging toward a freight elevator just inside the store entrance. I converged with them, and we all rode up to the 5th floor, where 2 plainclothesmen from burglary detail stopped us. I showed my ID card, argued for 5 minutes, and finally got a frown and a thumb jerk. I walked across 35 yards of expensive carpeting through a cubbyhole office door into a large room. Standing in front of a huge refrigerated vault was a tall man in a black Stetson. His name was Delaney. We shook hands.
Quite a thing, Dollar. Some guys walked out of here last night with 85 mink coats. It's a mess. You got a cigarette?
Yeah, sure. Here you are.
Thanks. Store's going to be closed all day while the burglary squad goes over it with everything they got. You can do what you have to do, too.
Thanks, Lieutenant. I appreciate that. What do you figure, freight elevator or stairs?
Either or both. I don't know. They must have had a panel truck or a big limo in that alley.
Yeah, I noticed that on my way up. It'd keep any car hidden from the street, and they'd be able to work without being bothered.
I got a man coming down to check for tire tracks, but it won't do any good. Whoever they were, they did it quiet, and they did it neat.
Neat? Yeah. But quiet?
You mean that night watchman, Cronin?
Well, there must have been some noise when he walked into them and got shot.
I hope he lives to tell us something. He's in tough shape.
How about this?
The vault? Just like the banks have, only smaller. And you can also hang meat in it. Not pried or blasted or cut into, just plain old-fashioned tumbler work.
Sandpapered fingers and all.
That wouldn't surprise me. Somebody was plenty good. Not even marks of a jimmy or pry tool to feel an edge. Just picked and plucked as nice as you please, and 14 little tumblers fell back. The door swung open.
I thought that kind of thing stopped with Jimmy Valentine.
Yeah, so did I.
Who reported it?
A guy named Dmitri Stroganoff, manager of the fur department. Come on. He's in his office now giving a statement of a couple of my boys. You can have a listen in.
All I can say, I ask you, gentlemen, that I just hope...
There's your pigeon, Dollar.
How could
80
such
of you?
things happen to Dmitri Stroganoff? Aha! Lieutenant Delahanty.
Mr. Stroganoff, this is Mr. Dollar. He represents your insurance company.
Oh, your acquaintanceship, Mr. Dollar, above all else, I am glad to make. Aha! 85 mink coats, valued at $300,000, coin of the realm. You have, of course, brought check for same, yes?
No.
What?
The adjuster will do that, Mr. Stroganoff. I'm an investigator, but don't worry.
Week by week, month by month, 14 years, I get 2 wards from the insurance company. 2 wards, pay premium. Now it's Stroganoff's turn to say back is 2 wards. Pay Stroganoff.
Believe me, Mr. Stroganoff, your money's waiting for you in a vault in a bank in Hartford where nobody can get it but you.
Waltz, ba, ba, pa.
Suppose you go right on with your statement, Mr. Stroganoff. We have to have it, you know.
Why is my 8 for mink in this direction? I answer you. Customer telephones Friday. Send over mink coat right away, she says. I send. Night comes, she wears coat to party. To breakfast next morning, she's also wearing coat. Maybe eggs she's eating. To party Saturday and to cocktail Sunday also. Monday, aha. My husband does not like coat. I'm sending back, she says. Mink.
Real tough, Mr. Stroganoff. You can never tell what people will do next.
Dmitri Stroganov can tell.
Look, if you'll just answer a few questions...
This morning, even as I arise, comes to me a feeling of doom. Yes.
Yes. Well, now about...
Something is going to happen bad, I said to myself. And when I get here, no, even before I get here, I slip and fall. No, even before that. Parking ticket for too long park. No, even before that.
He went on like that for quite a while, and the police stenographer took down every word. His whole testimony typed up into 23 single-spaced pages. But only the following was of any use. Stroganoff arrived at the store at approximately 8:45, found the vault door open, and inside the wounded watchman Cronin, also the mink coats gone. Stroganoff notified insurance company. Stroganoff notified police, in that order. Expense account, item. $1.35 for 2 ham sandwiches, 2 bottles of beer, all of which I shared with Lieutenant Delaney in Stroganoff's office.
All kinds of heists. Jewels, trucks, cars, banks. But this is the best so far. A real 14-carat double-breasted A-1 dilly. That's what it is, Dollar. How'd they get in that safe?
They just opened it up and walked in the same way you walk in your own front door, Lieutenant.
Yeah, but how? Who's that good?
Who? Well, there's the creepy kid. They always say he's that good.
You and me both know Creepy died 12 years ago at Dunamore.
And there was Dancing Dan Marathon.
Dancing Dan? He couldn't open a 2-bit padlock if he had the key. Who is good, Johnny? Who could do it?
I wish I knew.
Stroganoff's the only one in the store who knows the combo. The only one. But I don't know.
But you aren't taking any chances. Didn't I see 2 of your men tail him out of here?
You bet your life you did. And by the way, didn't you put in a call to your office and have him checked on?
You bet your life I did.
Cop work. All the time we got... Delaney. Yeah, hi, Richie. Well, give it to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, thanks. Hospital, Dollar.
The night watchman?
Cronin died 10 minutes ago without saying a word.
Mm-hmm. I was hoping he'd be able to fill in some gaps.
Well, he does. At least one.
Which one?
The other watchman's story about playing the radio.
Yeah. What other watchman?
Al Reedy. Oh, I'm sorry, Dollar. Maybe you passed him on.
Well, tell me about him. Was he shot, too?
No. We questioned him first thing this morning. You see, Cronin made the rounds, and Reedy held down the office. Reedy didn't know nothing about anything last night. He was listening to his radio in his office downstairs.
What gap does that fill?
And Doc says Cronin got it with a .32. That'd fit. They don't make much noise, and a man leaning into a radio close.
Reedy, huh? Well, where can I find him?
Right here. He's waiting in the locker room. Why, do you want to talk to him?
Yeah. Mind?
Oh, help yourself, Dollar.
Thanks.
Oh, Dollar.
Yeah?
You're looking for $300,000 worth of mink coats. I'm looking for a killer. Don't be a wise guy when you do your poking around, huh?
I'll try to keep my nose clean, Lieutenant.
Yeah?
Hello. You Al Reedy?
You another cop?
In a way, yeah.
In what way?
Insurance investigator.
All right, Mr. Insurance Investigator. Am I supposed to tell you something that'll tip the whole thing?
No, Mr. Night Watchman. You're just supposed to tell me how things went for you last night.
Swell. I sat in my office from 10 to 6, went home, went to bed. Got picked up by 2 big flat-footed coppers at 7:30. And here I am. How'd things go with you last night?
You sound a little put out, Reedy. Or are you used to places being heisted where you work?
What kind of a nasty crack is that?
What'd you see in here last night while you were doing all your night watching?
Nothing.
No freight elevator moving?
No.
No sounds on the stairs?
No.
And you didn't hear the shots that plugged Cronin?
No, I didn't.
Why?
Because I sit in my office and listen to disc jockeys. The radio's liable to smother a lot of noise.
Wrong answer.
Well, the cops like it.
I don't.
Give me a better one.
I'll have to look for it. But I'll find it, mister.
Sure you will. Sure you will. But you'll never find those guys who tromped off with those coats last night.
You sound awful sure of that.
I am. Because you'll spend all your time on someone like me trying to make something out of nothing just to show everybody how good you are.
Reedy, if you're clean, you haven't got anything to worry about.
Well, maybe, but answer me this. Who's going to say when a guy's clean? When he's right or wrong? A lot of filing cabinets in a building somewhere? Answer me, investigator. Who knows? Who's going to say? Let me alone. Just let me alone.
I didn't know what to make of Al Reedy, but I did know I wanted to know more about him. At the personnel office, I pulled out his application card. It looked good enough, and then I suddenly put it back. I had a hunch, and I headed for the Middleton Safe Company. The president and chief designer of the Middleton Safe Company was standing under a blue light in the center of a newly completed vault. He seemed lost in the huge room of shiny, gleaming metal all around him.
Please excuse me for not receiving you in my office, Mr. Dollar.
Inspection day?
Something like that. Now, this is what I call the Big Haze. Beautiful, isn't she? Completed a fortnight ago for a firm of South American bankers.
You work on the safes and vaults yourself, Mr. Middleton.
Indeed, I do. The drama of it captured me as a youth. To compose and weld and conform metal into an impregnable stronghold. Oh, it's fascinating, huh?
Yes, of course.
Fine metal, case-hardened, perfectly alloyed Ohio steel. Strength, Mr. Dollar. Strength. But then I bore you, sir. And now then, why are we meeting?
So you can tell me something about safes and vaults, Mr. Middleton?
Oh, I dare say I could, sir. But I'm afraid you'll have to be more specific.
All right. Tell me about the kind of vault you manufactured for the Elwood Faber department store.
A vault for... Oh, yes, the fur vault. Oh, yes, of course. What precisely do you wish to know about that vault?
How someone could open it without knowing the combination.
Oh, an impossible occurrence.
Have you read the morning papers?
Papers? What about them?
That particular vault was opened last night and all the furs taken.
What do you say? Looted? Well, that's impossible.
It happened. That's why I'm here.
This is quite a... Oh, dear me, Mr. Dollar. Of course, you'll want a thorough account from my organization.
Of course.
And I shall be glad to furnish you with any information that might be helpful.
I'd like to know how the combination was set and who knows it.
But I'd have to know the serial numbers on that particular vault.
Yeah, try these.
Oh, well, you're a very efficient man, Mr. Dollar. I see you've jotted them down. Well, let's go up to my office and look them up. Oh, no, sir. That won't be necessary. I recognize these serials. D4536. Oh, D. Oh, D stands for Dana. Mr. Dana set the final combination.
Mr. Dana?
My chief engineer for years.
And who else besides him would know it?
Myself and the person in proper authority at Elwood Faber, of course.
Well, that would be Stroganoff. Anyone else here?
No, sir.
I'd like to talk to Mr. Dana, then.
Well, I'm afraid that's quite impossible, sir.
Oh?
Albert Dana has been dead for 7 years.
Up to and including that point, I had a whole lot of nothing to go on. But by the time I got back to Boylston Street, heading for my hotel, things began to happen. A police car pulled up at the curb, and a familiar Stetson on top of a familiar head leaned out of the window.
Hey, Dollar, you.
Yeah, hello, Delaney.
Hop in. Just come by to get you. I thought you might be interested in a guy.
What guy?
The one we found floating down the Charles River an hour ago.
Who is he?
I don't know. But it looked like he's got the same enemies as a night watchman named Cronin.
Huh?
Yeah. There were 232 slugs in him. We wouldn't have picked it so fast, only that's the second pair been through ballistics in one day.
And they match?
Like your two front teeth. The same gun killed the night watchman and the guy in the river.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of Johnny Dollar. But first, it's a family night on the Bing Crosby Show again this Wednesday. Brother Bob and Bing's son Gary already have scored with the Groner this month. And tomorrow night, Bing's 14-year-old twins, Philip and Dennis, make their debut as a guest team. You'll hear the kids trying to sell Dad a membership in the Bing Crosby Fan Club, a scheme that backfires. And you'll hear some rare and wonderful singing. CBS cordially invites you to hear the Bing Crosby Show this Wednesday and every Wednesday over most of these same CBS stations. Now, with our star, Edmund O'Brien, we return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
I spent half the night at the city morgue and police headquarters with Lieutenant Delaney. examining the body they found in the Charles River and trying to identify him. All the labels were ripped out of his clothes and the laundry marks were cut off. We were left with just his physical characteristics and fingerprints. The mug file didn't duplicate him, and the prints didn't check with anything in town. So they sent them to the FBI in Washington. I got to my hotel at 4 a.m. to get some sleep, and I got it. 3 of the shortest hours' worth I ever had.
Dollar?
I'll tell her when he comes in.
This is Ed Bonner, Johnny. How would you like to be fired?
Huh? Oh, yeah, Mr. Bonner, sir. What can I do for you?
Turn up with 85 mink coats. What have you been doing since yesterday? Sleeping?
Bonner, I've run my legs down to my knees, honest. I've been trying to find out something, anything. I've peeked into so many corners, I've got television eyes.
And I've got a weak heart. Unless we find those furs in 24 hours, we have to pay off Elwood Faber $300,000.
Well, what are you going to do? Take it out of my pay?
We have to. We'll start by selling your body to a medical school. Please, Johnny, do something.
Bonner, what's Elwood Faber's financial position?
AAA. Couldn't be better. They wouldn't steal him.
How about the fur man, Stroganoff?
He's always had money. Family.
All right, Bonner, I'll keep after it. I'll call you when I get something.
Johnny, don't take my shouting personally, but this is a big one. Give it everything you got.
I forced myself to get out of bed, take a shower, and get my clothes on. I started for the door and had no idea where I was going
Aha, Mr. Dollar.
when somebody did my thinking for me.
To see you personally, I, Stroganoff, maestro of the Elwood Faber Fur Department, am here.
Do you have any news?
News? Every paper in the country it should hit. Twice. Never in my 30 years of association with that foul little beast, the mink, has anything like this happened.
What happened?
You wouldn't believe me.
Look, I'm pretty gullible.
Well, it's incredible. I don't blame you for not believing me.
Are we going to keep up this game, or do you tell me?
Don't get huffy with Stroganoff. I will tell you. This morning, wrapped in dirty cardboard box, is arriving at the Fur Department. Guess what? A mink coat. Incredible?
Incredible indeed. You mean one of the coats was returned by mail?
Right.
Well, that's encouraging.
I am not overjoyed. You still owe me for 84 coats.
Item, $1.90 for cab fare to Elwood Faber. It didn't make any sense that the men or man who committed murder to make the heist would return anything. But one coat had come back. And in the pocket, I found a small piece of slick cardboard. It was only 1/3 of an inch long, but there were 3 words on it. Country Club Dance. I was lucky. The country club secretary had a guest list, and one name on it stuck out like the nose on Jimmy Durante. Patricia Reedy.
Yes?
Oh, Miss Reedy?
Yes. Who are you?
Name's Johnny Dollar. Your father is employed at Elwood Faber, isn't he?
That's right, but
Is he in now?
he's probably in bed. May I help you?
Well, I don't know. I saw you at the country club dance the other night.
Oh, were you there?
Oh, I couldn't keep my eyes off you, especially when you had that mink coat on.
The mink. Well,
Talk with this guy, Pat. What do you want, Dollar?
Some information.
Patty, will you make some coffee or something?
all right, Dave. Anything else?
Oh, nothing I can't handle. Okay, Dollar, what are you doing here? Who asked you into my house?
My job. I came to find out about a mink coat that showed up at Elwood Faber this morning.
Look, let's go out in the hall and talk.
Okay. All right, Reedy, let's hear it.
Now, don't go into a long song and dance. I'll tell you everything. Just the way it was.
And I'd be real interested. The way I figure it, you helped in the theft. You maybe even killed Cronin. You kept one of the coats, but you got scared you might be caught with it, so you sent it back. Your daughter left the dance ticket in the pocket.
All right. Here's the story right down the line. I didn't help in the heist. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't even know what was happening. Like I told you, I was in my office, listening to the radio.
Tell me, Reedy. You ever been arrested?
Well, Dollar, you're smart enough to find it out sooner or later. I served time, sure. You might as well know. Lots of it.
Elwood Faber would be interested to know a trusted watchman served time.
Well, what'd you expect me to do when I got out? Curl up and die? I gotta live, too. I'm straight now, Well, almost. I had a wife and a kid. The wife died. You've seen the kid in there. 13 years of her life, she had nothing. But now I'm trying to make up for that. Everything I do is for her, not for me.
What about the coat?
Sure, I took it. I borrowed it. Or the safe was locked up for the night. I've been borrowing stuff right along. Whenever my kid needed anything, I always return them in good shape. Told Pat they let me do it. She don't know nothing.
That's kind of a strange philosophy.
I don't even know how to spell philosophy. But I do know this. That girl in there has a life ahead of her. Mine's behind me. I got to give her every chance I can to look good, to act good, to use her brains, to meet the right people and go to the right places. Not just for dough, you understand, a millionaire husband, but just for a right guy and a fair crack at happiness.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you guys are all the same. You work from a little book, printed directions. Everything's black and white in life. Nobody's human. Oh, well, that's that. I don't know what you're going to do, but I hope it don't blast that kid's life to pieces.
Reedy, you should have thought of this a long time ago.
I don't want any lectures.
You'll shut up and you'll listen to me. I think I believe you. You're right. Maybe we do work from printed directions a little too much. Well, I can use a little judgment on my job. I think, for now, I'll forget everything you told me and forget where that coat came from. Go on back to bed. Go on, Reedy.
Well, I didn't expect that from you, Dollar.
Reedy, I know what bad breaks are like, too. Oh, come on. Look, you'll have me doing that in a minute.
Hey, Dollar, I don't go in for this stool pigeon stuff. I never have. Well, now, I see it another way. It doesn't matter what you tell as long as you tell it to the right guy.
What does that mean?
I'm going to give you something. It'll take them at least 24 hours to identify the guy they found in the Charles River. Picture in the paper this morning. Well, I can tell you right now who he is.
Who is he?
Ted Gray. Worked in Elwood Faber about 6 weeks. Was fired 2 weeks ago.
How do you know?
Oh, I just know.
Personnel at Elwood Faber confirmed Ted Gray had worked there and was fired for insubordination. His address was 1432 Parkhurst Avenue, and I was over there in 15 minutes. It was an ordinary, undistinguished apartment house. No one answered when I knocked at apartment 12A. But the door was unlocked. Except for the furniture, the room had almost nothing to offer. I poked around for half an hour before I saw the phone numbers written on the wallpaper next to the phone. There were 14 numbers, and I started calling them right down the line. The first 7 produced such things as Ling Chi Chinese Hand Laundry, the Happy Hour Liquor Store, and several other things that didn't have the particular information I needed. On the 8th call, I got results.
Hello?
Hello. Is Harry there?
Harry? Harry who?
Harry Gordon.
But I'm sorry. You must have the wrong number.
Oh. Sorry.
That's quite all right.
Maybe he didn't know Harry, but I knew him. At least his voice. I called Lieutenant Delaney and told him where I was going. It was dark by the time I got to the Middleton Safe Factory. There was a single work light spreading a sickly yellow glow over the main floor of the loading platform. There wasn't a sound when I entered. That was too good to last. It went off somewhere in the darkness, and I dropped behind a medium-sized safe and waited for a gun flash.
Dollar! Johnny Dollar! What are you doing here?
Looking for 84 mink coats, Middleton.
I thought that was you on the phone, Dollar. How much money do you make?
Not much, but save your breath. You're going to need it to run.
A man of your talents could do a lot in South America. With 100,000 and a business.
I could never remember all those Spanish verbs. Thanks.
Have you got anybody coming?
Lots of people, Middleton. Lots.
If I hit you, how'd I know you weren't a burglar? You know, I'll never give up.
And you'll have to shoot better than that.
You missed me 10 feet.
Oh, my windage screw is off. Is that the 32 you used on Ted Gray?
No, this time I have a Luger. For special work. Like a frisker.
Oh!
Come on.
That Luger didn't help you much, Middleton.
What an ignominious end.
Yeah, you blew a good life.
Well, I could never find what I wanted.
Look, I know why you kicked the watchman over, but why your own boy, Gray?
He was in on the deal with me, but held out a coat for himself.
That shows you how wrong you can be. It wasn't Ted Gray. You see, Middleton... Oh, Over this way.
You've been shooting up the town, Dollar. Now, what's this?
Jessup K. Middleton, he's your boy.
Yeah, boy, for what?
For the fur heist and the bodies at the morgue.
How do you know?
Well, there's a safe full of furs on its way to South America somewhere. If you hurry, you might stop it at the port of New York.
Why would he kill the guy in the river? And who was that guy?
Ted Gray. He was the man who cased the Elwood Favor job. He reported 85 coats ready to go. And when only 84 showed up, Middleton thought he was holding back on him.
Well, okay, Johnny. Thanks for doing all the work.
I was just lucky, Delaney.
You sure were. You could have been hit where it hurt worse. Come on, let's have the ambulance doctor look at that shoulder.
This is the only way to live. Miss Reedy, you...
Make it
Pat. You know, you're great on your feet.
Well, what about you, Johnny? Dancing with your arm in a sling.
Well, I took the no-hands course at Arthur Murray's.
Pardon me, Mr. Dollar. There's a phone call at your table.
Oh, thanks, waiter. Come on, Pat. Johnny Dollar.
Ed Bonner, Dollar.
Bonner? I won't take another job for at least a week.
No, it's not that.
What is it? Are you afraid I'll put a night out on the swindle sheet?
You aren't finished.
Not finished? Hey, you got the coats, didn't you?
Yeah, we found the safe down at the dock. Caught it just before it was loaded for South America. There were 84 coats in it, all right. But you know the one that was sent back in the mail? It's been stolen again. One's still missing.
Oh, really? Oh, that. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, Bonner, somehow I have a feeling that last coat will be in the mail tomorrow.
Are you sure?
Positive. So long, Mr. Bonner.
So long, Johnny.
Who was it?
Oh, nobody important. You know something, Pat? You look just grand and mink. Well, the coat did show up the next day and in the mail. Maybe she'll have one of her own someday. Me? I stuck around Beantown for a few days to get a better look at the Bunker Hill Monument, Paul Revere's home, and her deep blue eyes, which began hinting at wedding bells. So, expense account item $11.75 back home, but fast. Expense account total $384.16. Yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, stars Edmund O'Brien in the title role and was written tonight by E. Jack Newman and John Michael Hayes, with music by Leith Stevens. Featured in our cast were Harry Bartell, Joseph Kearns, Hans Conried, Bill Johnstone, Howard McNear, and Gloria Blondell. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. Join us next week when Edmund O'Brien returns in another transcribed adventure of...
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
If you've got a piece of string handy, you better tie it around your finger so you won't forget to file your income tax return. The deadline is March 15th, you know, and March 15th is right at hand. So to avoid penalties, file your returns promptly, but don't be in such a hurry that you forget to sign your name or attach your withholding statement. Now stay tuned for the adventures of Philip Marlowe, which follows immediately over most of these same CBS stations. This is CBS, where you meet Gene Autry every Saturday night, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Edmund O'Brien as...
Johnny Dollar.
Mr. Dollar, this is Miss Ramey, Legal Department, Britannia Casualty and Life.
Oh, yeah, Miss Ramey. Thanks for calling back. I just wanted to get something straight. If a murderer is executed, does his policy pay off?
Well, that's an unusual question. As far as I know, yes, but we've never faced the situation.
Well, put on your makeup. It's liable to happen any minute.
Edmund O'Brien in another transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Britannia Casualty and Life, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of expenditures during my investigation of Stuart Palmer, the man who wrote himself to death. Expense account, item 1, $123.42, air and miscellaneous travel expenses from Hartford to Chicago and the Cook County Jail.
Well, you can make up your own mind about him, Dollar. He's like all those writers. If he isn't guilty, he's crazy.
How are you, Lieutenant?
Oh, hi, Markowitz. This is Mr. Dollar.
Hello, how are you?
Mr. Dollar?
He's an insurance dick. He wants to talk to Palmer. Call him out, will you?
Sure thing, Lieutenant. Hey, Palmer, your mother's here.
I'll see you on your way out, Dollar.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Lieutenant.
Here's your boy, Mr. Dollar. You'll have to talk to him through the bridge.
Stuart Palmer?
Yeah.
My name is Dollar. Britannia Casualty and Life sent me out here. I understand you're in some difficulty. If there's anything I can do to help...
You didn't come here to help me. You came to investigate my new policy.
Now, look...
I don't need your help or anybody else's. I paid my first premium. That's all you or the company need be concerned about.
They're concerned about the fact that you're being held on suspicion of murder.
That doesn't affect the policy.
Have you retained counsel?
That's none of your business.
Thanks for the cooperation. Nice to meet friends in a strange city. You can have them, Markowitz.
Thanks.
Well, Dollar? Lovable, isn't he?
What have you got on him?
Oh, not much. Some wino was killed in the Clark Street pool room. Palmer was holding one of the cues. We pulled him in with about 14 others.
When are you going to release him?
We're not sure. He's been in before, you know.
Tell me, what's the matter with him?
Who knows? He's a writer. Crime stuff. Hangs around the West Madison district a lot of the time. Calls it research.
Does he still have that Kenwood address?
Wait a sec. Yeah. 5715.
Well, I hope his wife is jollier than he is.
Oh, Mr. Martin, Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were somebody else.
I am. My name is Dollar. I'm an insurance investigator.
Well, I'm sorry. We have all the insurance we can use.
I said investigator. I want to talk to you about your husband.
Oh, come in. Why do you do this to him? I know why. It's like he says. You're all after him. You don't like him because he's a genius. You don't understand him. You'll never understand
Now,
him.
wait a minute.
You can try all you want to. As Stuart says, when one human being does something better than another human being, that's when they attack him. Well, go ahead.
Look, Mrs. Palmer, I'm on your side. I'm not the police.
Oh.
Now, why don't you sit down? I'll explain the whole thing to you. Come on. That's better. Now, your husband took out a $100,000 life insurance policy last week.
Well, there's certainly nothing wrong with that.
Mrs. Palmer, please. This week, your husband is arrested on suspicion of murder.
There, now you see? You don't know anything about him, and already you're accusing him of the most awful
I
thing.
am not accusing him of anything, Mrs. Palmer. I'm just trying to help. I talked with your husband a little while ago. He wasn't very cooperative. I'd hoped you would be.
Well, you put him in jail, and then you expect him to be cooperative.
Does he have a lawyer?
Yes, of course, Mr. Martin. That's who I thought you were.
Well, how does Mr. Martin feel about this?
But he's been very nice. Stuart isn't worried. Stuart knows that Mr. Martin can spring him any time he wants to.
I see. What does your husband write? Books?
Well, he used to write for the radio. But as he says, it's a very limited medium. So one morning he went to his agent and tore that contract up right in his face. And that very day he started to write his play. 140 pages.
Uh-huh.
With real people in every scene. He took every one of them from life.
Is the play about crime?
How did you know that?
Well, I met your husband doing a little research in jail.
Well, they put him in jail because they don't understand. As he says, they don't put a doctor to bed in a hospital because he's doing research on a dangerous disease. People don't know good from evil. That's what's wrong. They're afraid of the truth, and that's what Stuart writes. He practically lives with his subjects.
Criminals?
Yes, he studies them. Nobody can write believably about something unless they're familiar with it. That's the sacrifice he makes.
You don't get to see much of him, do you?
Well, his work is infinitely more important than I am. But as soon as his play is produced, we're going away together. Atlantic City or Bermuda. The manuscript has been in New York for 6 months now, so it shouldn't be long before he hears.
What has your husband's income been for the past 6 months?
Well, there hasn't been much. But great art is often born of poverty.
But $100,000 insurance policies aren't. Who's this man, Neil Beasley, your co-beneficiary?
Co-beneficiary? Well, if you're going to sit here and be insulting, perhaps you'd better leave.
Well, perhaps I'd better. You mentioned an agent. What's his name?
George Michaelkoff. He's in the Ingram building.
Crazy. The guy is crazy. You can't do business with a guy like that. Art, he talks. Everything's got to be art. Spends his time with bums, and he calls it art.
Hasn't he done anything for 6 months, Mr. Michaelkoff?
Not with me. Well, let's face it. Not with nobody. You know, he could have been a good writer, this boy. But he was too arty, not commercial. Then, boom, he's got to write a play. And where is it? Probably in the bottom drawer of Hallstein's desk. And it's going to stay there. Here's a copy. Take it along and read it.
Thanks. What about this research he does?
Research? Is that what he told you? I had to go down to the county jail and bail him out. Twice. That's what washed me up. Someday they're going to catch him with the goods on him. You know, maybe it started out to be research, but it ain't now.
Well, how did it start?
With a guy named Neil Beasley.
Neil Beasley?
Oh, you heard of him, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the boy. He took Palmer under his wing, and that's where he still is. I don't know. Maybe he can't get out. Beasley came up to the office with Palmer once. What a character.
Where does this Beasley hang out, do you know?
Who knows? Nasty neighborhoods.
Expense account, item 2, 80 cents, cab fare to a nasty neighborhood. After a lot of questions and bad bourbon, I came across a character who called himself Roscoe. Roscoe was the walking who's who of the district. When I mentioned the name Beasley, he swallowed his drink, wiped the back of his hand over his mouth, and leaned over the table toward me.
Beasley. Let's see. Beasley.
Come on, here. Here's something to stimulate your memory.
Yes, of course. Beasley, Neil Beasley. Been a friend of mine for years. Slipped my mind. Getting old. Beasley was born in Cincinnati of well-to-do parents. They say he attended Harvard, but perhaps it's only a story. You know how stories start.
Skip the history. Where can I find him?
Any number of places. If the racetrack was open, you'd find him there, but the racetrack ain't open. There is his place of residence.
Where is that?
I don't know, but he must live somewhere.
Obviously. What would you suggest?
You familiar with the Atomic Tavern up the street?
Oh, I'm a stranger in town.
Peoria?
No.
You have the face of a Peoria salesman. I don't know, something in the eyes. Yes, well, the Atomic Tavern up the street.
Thanks, Roscoe.
You never did say where you were from.
Hartford, Connecticut. If you're ever in town, look me up. 4 blocks away, squeezed between a delicatessen and a shoe parlor, I came upon the Atomic Tavern. It exploded just as I arrived.
Yeah, and stay out. That's no name to call a lady. Oh, come right in, sir. Come in. Anybody with a civil tongue is welcome, sir.
Thanks.
Here, boys.
Neil Beasley around? Eh? Who wants him? His name is Johnny Dollar. I'm a friend of Stuart Palmer's.
Well, you tell him that. He's at the back table there. All right, boys, come on. What you have? Don't bother me. And he didn't bother me anymore.
Your name Beasley?
Boy, I love him.
Mr. Beasley. Who are you?
Mr. Dollar.
What's your business, Dollar?
Insurance, investigation end. Can I sit down? I'm working for a company that holds a policy on the life of Stuart Palmer.
Insurance racket. I wonder how it started. I suppose somebody back in Rome bet Julius Caesar 10 drachmas he wouldn't live through the 15th of March and won. What do you want with me?
Well, I'm looking for somebody who'll make some sense. Maybe you're it. I understand you're Palmer's beneficiary.
That's right. He's a good boy.
Yeah, but he's not a good risk. The company insures a radio right. I come out here and learn he's a petty criminal.
What's your problem, Dollar? Why don't you cancel the policy?
Well, I will if I can. Tell me, what got him started?
Well, put yourself in his place. He spends a lot of time around here learning so he can write good stuff. He writes good stuff, So good they won't buy it. So he falls back on his education.
That's logical, but illegal.
Oh, they'll get him. They'll get me, too. It's fate. The bumps on your head, the lines in your hands, the stars, destiny. Who can stop it?
Well, that's quite a philosophy you've got. I was looking toward the front of the building. I hadn't seen him come in, but it was Stuart Palmer. He was standing at the elbow of the bar, obviously looking for his friend. When he spotted me, he started for the door.
Oh, sit down, Dollar.
That's my arm, Beasley.
Sit down and leave him alone. The cops released him. Just leave him alone.
Let go, Beasley.
Hey, you guys, watch the furniture. Lay off, will you? Look what you're doing.
By the time I got outside, he was half a block away, heading west. I knocked over several West Madison Street characters, and then it suddenly occurred to me that the only reason I was chasing him was because he was running away from me. I was 50 feet behind him when he rounded a Walgreens drugstore on the corner. For a second, I lost him. Then I saw him. He wasn't running. He was turned toward me. Palmer! Don't! The crowd! I bent over the newsboy just long enough to see that he was dead. And I started after Palmer again. There was no mistake about it. He wanted that policy, and he'd kill to keep it.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. But first, the screen's sophisticated, caustic Mr. Belvedere, alias Clifton Webb, will swap quips with Bing Crosby on the Groner CBS show this Wednesday night. CBS cordially invites you to hear this great show that promises some of the best laughs of the season when it comes your way on most of these same CBS stations this Wednesday night. Mildred Bailey, the rocking chair lady of popular song, also will be on hand as guest star. So remember, be listening when Clifton Webb, Mildred Bailey, and Bing Crosby get together tomorrow night. Now, with our star, Edmund O'Brien, we return to the second act of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar.
I lost Palmer in the next block. If daylight had held for a little longer, maybe I could have stopped the whole thing. I looked at my watch. It was 6:05. The Hartford office was closed. I headed back for a phone in the Walgreens drugstore. I got to the corner just as the police in the person of Lieutenant Carrigan pulled up.
All right, you people. Clear away.
Dollar! What the devil are you doing here? Look at that kid, Carrigan, lying there. If you hadn't let that maniac out, the boy would still be hawking his papers.
Hey, wait a minute. Back off. What are you talking about?
Who do you think did it? Palmer.
Palmer? Are you sure?
Yeah, he was shooting at me. What'd you let him out for?
Oh, look, Dollar, there are laws. I told you earlier we didn't have much on him. He was clear.
Well, you're sure not clear on this one. Huh. Kid only had 3 papers left.
I think you better tell me what happened, Dollar.
Well, let's move away from here.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, folks, why don't you go home? Come on, move, huh?
I don't know what there is about people.
They're just glad it wasn't their kid. Well, here's the tale. I came down here to find a guy named Neil Beasley, a friend of Palmer's. Palmer showed up in the joint. When he saw me, he made a dash up the street. I took out after him, and when I got to the corner, he opened up. The kid was standing next to me. After the gunfire, I went after Palmer again. Believe me, I wish I'd caught him.
Yeah. Sergeant?
Oh, yes, Lieutenant.
Put out a general on Stuart Palmer. All the dope's in my office.
Yes.
Why would he want to kill you?
That's a $100,000 question, Lieutenant. I'll be in the drugstore. Gotta make a phone call.
Hello?
Mr. Sandal?
Yes?
Sorry to bother you at home. I'm on the Palmer case out of your Hartford office.
Oh, yes. Mr. Dollar, isn't it?
That's right.
How are you making out?
Well, things couldn't be worse. Your only move is to cancel the policy, sir. How soon can you do that? On good grounds.
Well, I couldn't get word from the East until tomorrow afternoon at the earliest.
Well, if you can't do it tonight, just forget the whole thing.
Well, I don't understand.
Well, the police have put out a general alarm for the policyholder, dead or alive. And the odds are on the bad side.
All right, Dollar. I'll do what I can. I'll get on the phone to Hartford as soon as I hang up.
Good. I won't keep you waiting. Bye. Expense account item 4. $1.80 cab fare back to Mrs. Palmer's apartment. On the way, I suppose I should have been worried about the $100,000 worth of policy. But that didn't seem to bother me. There was the newsboy who never knew what hit him. And there was Palmer's wife. I was going to have to tell her about it. But I knew even before I got to the apartment that she'd never believe me.
I don't believe you.
Of course you don't. And you don't want to. You don't want to believe anything bad about him. You want to just go on complimenting yourself on being married to the greatest man on earth. But you're way wrong. Where is he?
I don't know. And you can't make me believe you. Why would he kill anybody?
Well, my guess is that he's doing it for you.
Oh, that's a terrible thing to say. He wouldn't do anything wrong, even for me.
He took out an insurance policy that he couldn't afford. Why do you think he did that?
I don't know. I never understood about business.
Well, he sure got you. Some people have collie dogs, and he's got you. He comes home, pats you on the head, so you'll look up at him and tell him how wonderful he is. You know why? Because nobody else will.
You just don't understand. You just don't understand at all.
How long has it been since he treated you like a woman? Bought you things like candy, flowers. When was the last time he spent an evening with you?
Why are you saying these things?
Well, I'm trying to tell you that he failed, both as a writer and as a husband. Don't you see? He's trying to make it up to you. He wants the police to kill him so you'll collect the insurance.
That's a lie.
Where is he, Marion?
Oh. Hello? Yes? No, he's here now. Why do you say that? No. Stuart, where are you? He hung up.
Well, look who's here. I wish Palmer was as easy to find as you are.
You won't find him here.
Does she know where he is?
No, he just phoned her. Wouldn't tell her.
Well, looks like a long night.
Yeah? For her, too. Mind if I ride back to the Madison district with you?
That's quite a theory, Dollar. What happens to a guy to get him in a mess like this?
I don't know. Burned too many bridges, I guess. Made a stand with his agent. Told everybody he'd show him he was right. Now he can't do it.
Oh, people. I don't know. Maybe I've been in homicide too long. I used to think a lot about things like this. You know, wonder about what started these characters, what got them to the place where I'd have to go after them. No more. Their problems aren't mine. All I worry about now is how to get them without getting anybody else hurt.
You've got a nice, simple job, Lieutenant Carrigan.
Yeah. I was thinking of that. You want him alive?
The insurance company does.
I hope it works out for you. I can't take any chances. We always try to save him for a trial. But if you're right about this one, he'll come out with a gun. Those are the kind we have to stop.
You know, this could turn into a very unpleasant situation. The lieutenant was kind enough to drop me at the Atomic Tavern. The place was empty. The sirens had frightened most of the clientele out of the precinct. All except one. He sat in the same position, at the same table, with what looked like the same glass of beer. Hello, Beasley.
Mr. Beasley. I was expecting you. Sit down.
Thanks.
How's the insurance business?
Well, sometimes we sell too much. You know where Palmer is?
Surely, always know where Palmer is. He tells me things he wouldn't tell anyone else.
You may not care, Mr. Beasley, but you just made yourself an accessory to insurance fraud.
Not unless I tell the police where he is. And then your company is out the $100,000.
And you're in 10.
I'll tell you the truth. I don't want that money. I don't want a penny of that money. Looked good at first. He wanted to give his wife a break, offered me $10,000 to help him out.
How did you help him out?
Well, take right now, for instance. I could have tipped the cops twice a minute since it happened. In fact, I was supposed to. Cops would have killed him. Wife and I would have collected our money. But I can't do it.
Isn't it a little late for Boy Scouting?
No. No, not if you could talk him out of it.
Where is he?
No cops?
No cops.
Just as soon as I finish my beer.
We walked down Halstead with the red streetcars rumbling by and the fruit trucks and the chicken wagons. I didn't notice the name of the street we turned west on, but a block and a half later, we stopped, 2 doors away from a basement barber shop.
Well, that's where he is. You're crazy to go in there.
Are you staying out here?
No. No, I'm going in. But I'm crazy, too.
Really?
That's why you should never listen to a guy like me. Farmer's got nothing to lose. How much do they pay you for getting killed?
Come on, if you're going, let's go.
Okay. Farmer, it's Beasley. Let me in.
Good work, Neil. Bring him in quick.
You've got a good line, Beasley.
Mr. Beasley. So good, I believe it myself.
What's that supposed to mean?
Oh, Palmer, it's a bad deal all the way around. What do you want to do, make history? You won't go down in any books.
What's got into you? You helped me lay out the whole thing.
Oh, yes, it looked good, but it won't work.
He's right, Palmer. It won't work. I put through a cancellation request on your policy.
But it hasn't gone through yet. If it had, you wouldn't have come in here.
It's no good, Palmer. Even if it doesn't come through, they'll fight it in court after you're dead. We've got too much against you.
How far will they get without your testimony? You aren't going to be around to give it.
Well, that's no good either. If you kill me, that'll clinch it. Oh, come on. Use your head, Palmer. You've got a chance. The newsboy is only a second-degree rap. There was no premeditation.
You're trying awful hard to save that company of yours $100,000.
Listen, there isn't a commission big enough to make me come here.
All right, then why did you come?
I don't know. Maybe because way back in my mind I thought to myself, I can get to this guy. Maybe it was your wife that made me come. I just saw her, Palmer. You know, you aren't doing her any favors by getting yourself killed. She loves you too much. You can't buy a thing like that off with $100,000.
They're coming. I didn't tip them. They must have followed us down.
It doesn't make any difference how they get here. Just so they come. Well, watch it, Dollar. Stay away from me. Nobody's going to stop me now. This is what they all wanted. Like the big literary agent with the big promises. Great play, he tells me. Yes, and the old friends. They'll cut the story out of the papers and they'll save it in the desk drawer. Poor Stu, they'll say. He could have been a good boy. Well, all right, they can save it. It's gonna pay off. That's what counts.
It won't pay off, and you know it. The only guy that wants it this way is you, because you haven't got the guts to go on.
Palmer, we know you're in there. We'll give you 30 seconds, Palmer.
I'll be right out.
Palmer, it's waste, Palmer. It's for nothing.
It's no use, Dollar. He's going to do it. Better lie down on the floor.
Stuart, are you in there?
Marion, get away from here.
I want to talk to you, Stuart. Open the door.
Oh. Come on in here. Marion, what are you doing here?
Come with the lieutenant. Don't do it, Stuart. I don't want money that way.
Wait a minute. Did they make you come in here?
No, I wanted to come. Don't do it, Stuart. Please.
Goodbye, Marion.
Stuart, don't go. Stuart, come back.
Let go of me.
Stuart!
Get down on the floor.
No!
Come on, get down. There's nothing you can do.
Stop, Palmer. Stop.
As you know, Palmer's policy was not canceled before he died. But I'm sure that with a staff of legal geniuses employed by the Britannia Company, you'll come out all right. A soft judge gave Beasley 60 days for attempted insurance fraud, and that was it. Expense account item 6, same as item 1, transportation Chicago to Hartford. Expense account total, $635.24. Oh, almost forgot. Item 7, 35 cents, tip to Western Union boy. Telegram from Marion Palmer. Contents? Thought you'd like to know. Stuart's play accepted for production on Broadway. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, stars Edmund O'Brien in the title role and is written by Gil Dowd and David Ellis, with music composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Edmund O'Brien can currently be seen in the Harry M. Popkin United Artists production, DOA. Featured in tonight's cast were Lorene Tuttle, Larry Dobkin, Bill Boucher, Bill Gray, Jack Crucian, and Herb Butterfield. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. From Hollywood, it's time now for Edmund O'Brien as...
Johnny Dollar.
This is Doug Strand over at Bay State Bonding and Liability. I've got a big bonding case for you up in Boston.
Well, I just started to work on a case here in Hartford, also bonded. But okay, what's the picture?
Huh? How'd you know it was a picture?
How did I know what was a picture?
The one I'm calling about, an oil painting. Insured for $250,000. It's just been stolen.
Edmund O'Brien in another transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account. America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Bay State Bonding and Liability Company, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an accounting of my expenditures during investigation of a missing masterpiece, an investigation that took place in Boston, but turned out to be no tea party. Expense account, item 1, $8, mileage, Hartford to Beantown on the Charles. First stop, the Modern Art Gallery, a modest made-over brownstone in a modest business neighborhood.
Good afternoon.
Oh, hello. Is Mr. Andrian Modern here?
He stepped out of the office for a few moments, but perhaps I could help. I'm his daughter.
Oh, I see. My name is Dollar. I'm from the insurance company. They sent me up to see what I could do for you on last night's set.
Oh, that's such good news. Father has been beside himself. I know he'll be so relieved with you here.
Now, let's see. According to my worksheet, the painting was owned by a Mr. Rideau, huh? Caesar Rideau?
Yes, he's an acquaintance of ours. He's not what you'd call the arty type by any means, but he's interested in good oils, and he has a very nice collection of masters.
Was this village scene on loan to the gallery, or did Mr. Rideau want to sell it?
It was a loan. And that's what makes it so terrible for Father, and for me, too. He didn't want to accept the loan, and I talked him into it. You see, it's been very difficult for Father, and I thought that hanging an important picture in the gallery would bring people in. And it did for 3 days, but... Oh, Father, this is Mr. Dollar.
Yeah?
He's here to help us. He was sent by the company that insured village scene.
Ah, bless you, bless you. I am so happy you are here.
I hope I can help, Mr. Modern.
The police, I know they do their work well, but they are so stern, unfriendly. To them, who is Pieter Bruegel the elder? And village scene, what is that? A stolen broom would annoy them so much.
Don't let their attitude fool you, Mr. Modern.
I'm sure they're doing everything they can, Father.
Yeah.
Mr. Modern, I understand that nothing else was touched.
Yeah, what is anything next to Pieter Bruegel?
It was the only master in the gallery then, huh? I'd like to see where it was hanging.
Yeah, of course. This door. Teresa, you will wait?
Yes, dear, I'll be here.
Wait, Mr. Dollar. I feel I must explain the importance to me personally. Is that all right?
Sure, if you think it'll help, go right ahead.
Mr. Dollar, if we do not find the canvas, my gallery is gone. Everything, all my years are for nothing.
Why do you say that?
Because of that man, Rito. There is a hate between us. We have not expressed it, but it is there because, well, you have met my daughter. You realize her great beauty. I have tried to protect her from this man. Now I am on my knees to him because of my carelessness.
Well, I wouldn't give up if I were you. We haven't even started on this case yet.
If we fail, I will take her away from Boston, start all over again. You come this way. In this gallery, you see my life, Mr. Dollar. Many of these canvases I bring with me from Salzburg when I leave, before the Anschluss. Here under that light, is where the village scene was hanging. I have hung nothing more yet.
Mm-hmm. Force this window, huh?
Yeah. You see, it looks on the back of the property. Do you see something?
No. Well, I was just wondering what I'd do with the picture if I'd stolen it. Who could I sell it to? Who'd be willing to take a chance on displaying it?
Oh, I'm afraid there are a great many unscrupulous collectors in the world. There's much trade in stolen goods. And again, sometimes great masterpieces are held for ransom. For that reason, I have offered a reward of $5,000 myself.
Hey, that's pretty steep for you, isn't it? What about Rito?
Rito? What cares Rito? To him, the canvas is nothing.
I wish he was right. Well, I think I've seen everything I want to see here. I'm going to check in with the police, Mr. Modan. I'll let you know when we turn something up.
What is it?
I'd like to talk with whoever's working on the Modan burglary, officer. Here's my ID.
Insurance, huh? What'd you say the beef was?
Maudan, Andrian Modan. Stolen painting. Call came in this morning.
Modan. Oh, yeah, here it is. That'd be... Hey. Estimated value of $250,000.
Yeah.
A picture?
Yeah. And I'll bet you the artist was lucky if he got a month's rent out of it. The price has gone up $100,000 every century he's been dead.
Oh, one of them old-timers. You can have him. I don't understand him. Your man is Sergeant Hines, through that door, first office to the left. I'll buzz him. You're on the way.
Thanks.
Yeah, come on in. How are you, Dollar? So you came up on the Modan thing, huh?
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to check in with you, find out how much I can do before you pull your rank.
Ah, cut it out.
Well, I run into some touchy policemen.
Not here. Well, I get my hat off that chair. Sit down.
Thanks.
You get a free hand as far as I'm concerned, Dollar. Been out to see the old man yet, Modan?
Yeah. Say, what kind of a make did you get at the gallery?
Nothing special. Typical window job. Heavy crowbar, no signs worth anything outside. The old boy ran a story in the papers about the picture coming to his gallery, so it's a little tough to narrow the suspects.
This guy who owns it, Cesar Rito, I've heard of him, haven't I?
Yeah, a lot of people have. He made his pile during the war. There was talk of black market, but nobody could pin anything on him. Then last year he was up before the Senate Investigation Committee. Something about buying contracts. Then he came home. What are you looking for, Dollar? Fraud charges?
Well, let's be realistic. They may be easier to find than the painting. I've worked a few of these things. You know, the usual method is to cut the canvas out of the frame with a razor blade while it's still hanging. Rolled up, it's easy to conceal. On this job, it went frame and all, didn't it?
That's what I got. But I'm thinking the other way. I got details out looking for that frame.
I can dream, can I? It's faster my way. And I got tickets for South Pacific for 3 weeks after Easter. I did some spade work on Cesar Rito that afternoon before I went to his address. His current position was that of wholesale liquor distributor for a number of distillers that managed to keep their prices high and their quality low. His financial condition was healthy, But you don't have to be broke to be able to use $250,000. I found Riddle's residence halfway up the shady side of Beacon Hill. He hadn't made the top, but he was climbing. There was a coat of arms on the wrought iron gate and a butler, complete with cummerbund, inside the front entrance. But the class stopped there.
Charles, that's that clown from the dress shop. Give him to me. When I get through with him, you can shovel him out.
It's a gentleman to see Mr. Riddle, madam.
Oh. Go finish the silver. I'll talk to him.
Yes, madam.
Hello, my name is Dollar.
That's very clever, but it doesn't help. Could you be the sick friend he's been sitting up with lately?
The insurance company told him I was coming up when he reported the theft of his painting.
Ah, Riddle's folly, huh?
You Mrs. Riddle?
Not yet. I'm holding out to be a June bride. Come on in the bar, Mr. Dollar. You and me are interested in the same situation. My name is Lily Swanson. I don't know anything about art, but I got a few ideas about who's supposed to be modeling as a sap. You want a drink?
No, thanks. Don't let me stop you.
I had one here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Well, did you meet the museum piece?
You mean Teresa Modin? Yeah, I met her.
If you want to make a quick buck, take out a policy on her life. To me, she's poison.
Oh, that's hard to believe.
What do you mean by that?
I was just looking at you. You don't have anything to worry about.
Haven't you heard sometimes beauty is only skin deep? I want to tell you about Caesar Riddle. He's a climber. I've been good enough for him for a long time, but now he wants refinement. Doing specialties in burlesque houses, that's one thing you don't develop.
Maybe I'd better have that drink.
Yeah, help yourself. Don't get me wrong. I'm not building up to a sob story. It's just like him waking up one morning with a big interest in art and money enough to carry it off. The right people were impressed. Now he wants that dame, and he's willing to gamble a few $100,000 if it'll help. That's why he put that picture in that fire trap.
Where do you think it is now?
How should I know? The point is, he doesn't care where it is. He's protected.
Another point is that I'm getting paid to care a lot where it is.
Well, I can't help you there. But he's got to be taught that he can't walk over people without getting hurt himself.
I'm afraid I can't help you there.
Then that dame, Teresa. If you think she's worth it, tell her. He's not good enough for her. She'll get hurt. He's got no more feeling for her than he has for a new suit. He'll wear her for a while. When he gets bored, he'll go shopping for a new pattern. If she's a nice kid, she ought to be told.
That's quite a pitch, Lily.
Caesar.
I don't mind strangers hearing things like that, but the servants might have been listening. Discipline, you know.
I don't care. Wait till I write my memoirs. You're one of the rottenest mashers I've ever known, and I've known a few.
Go fix your face.
Sure. On the way, I might as well fix yours.
I didn't hear enough of it to find out who you are.
Name's Dollar, insurance company.
Oh, yeah. Tell me, you made any progress?
Yeah, general progress. I've learned that Bay State Bonding and Liability hired an investigator on the wrong end of this case. They should have looked you over before they issued the policy.
With any kind of big company, you can depend on about 90% of that all the time. Rush things when the money's coming in, then be careful when it's too late. Tell me, what about my picture?
Well, I don't think a nice, honest thief has it.
Why do you say that?
Number of reasons. It's too hot to steal the way it was stolen.
Well, what do you think happened?
You're too big to be accused on a hunch. Wait till I get some facts. Then I'll talk to you about it. Right now, I want to talk about a clause in your policy that says you shouldn't move the insured property without first notifying the company.
Yeah, that's right. Big companies again. They're so tied up with procedures and rules, they'd get themselves hamstrung if they tried to build a case on them. I'll find you some words in that thing that'll nullify that clause. Tell me, you think I can't?
I was afraid you'd say that. You know, you've got a good head, Mr. Riddle.
Yeah, saying nothing of being a rotten masher.
I don't see any reason to waste any more of each other's time, do you?
You stay for a drink?
Oh, no. No, thanks. I very seldom drink on the job. I parked my car in an alley around the corner and then went back. I found a spot opposite the Riddle place where I wouldn't be obvious and settled down to wait for him to leave. I hoped I'd planted enough doubt in his mind to make him move if he was implicated. Whatever I'd planted grew slowly because I waited a long, cold time. Night fell, and I drove closer to the house. Finally, the door opened, and Rideau moved a blue-black sedan out of his garage. By the time I got my car started, a coupe pulled out of the driveway. In it, I spotted the blonde head of the lady scorned, Lily Swanson. I followed her. After a few blocks, it was evident that her destination was the Modern Gallery. I pulled up at the rear of the building. I could see a dim light burning on the ground floor. I started toward a window. But before I got to it, it happened at another one. It was a woman's scream. But when I finally got inside, the only person there was Caesar Rideau. He was still alive, the stupidity of shock on his face as he leaned against the wall under a light that had once shown up the best features of Pieta Bruegel's village scene.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. But first, Wednesday nights on CBS bring you Groucho Marx, Bing Crosby, and Burns and Allen. An hour and a half of radio's top entertainment for the whole family. Bing Crosby, Burns and Allen, and Groucho Marx are heard on most of these same CBS stations. So make this wonderful Wednesday a steady date with CBS. And now, with our star, Edmund O'Brien, we return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
So there I was. I'd been sent to Boston to find the missing village scene and found myself at the scene of attempted murder. Caesar Rideau had taken 2 slugs, one in his left shoulder and a grazing one on his right forearm. I phoned for police and ambulance, then did what I could to make Rideau comfortable. I turned up the thermostat, covered him with my coat.
Who did it, Dollar?
That's the question I was going to ask you. Don't you know?
Must have been outside.
That's right. Through the open window there. Why'd you come down here?
I forgot my hat.
Look, you're in no shape to try being clever. You met Teresa.
Let me alone.
I want to know how your stolen painting figures into this.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I met Teresa. This is where we meet.
What about the painting?
It was stolen. I don't feel good, Dollar. I don't feel good at all. I don't want to talk. I feel like I'm going to pass out.
And he did. After the ambulance took him away, I made a statement to the police that was not false, but lacked enough truth to save a few people from being dragged in for questioning. I headed for the blonde member of that group.
Oh, it's you. What do you want?
Just a few words.
I used up all I had earlier today.
Yeah, but we got new things to talk about
Such
now.
as?
Well, the police might want more from me on that art gallery shooting.
All right. Is he dead?
No.
Did you know I was there, or were you just guessing?
I wasn't guessing. I followed you from here.
Oh, I suppose that earns you a drink. Come on.
Thanks.
Up yourself. You said the police were there.
Yeah, I had to call them. I didn't mention your being there.
Why not?
Because I wanted to get to you before they hauled you in.
I didn't shoot him. I followed him there, but I didn't shoot him.
Somebody did. There were 2 women there and me, and I didn't do it. Why did you follow him?
Because I heard him phone that Teresa and tell her to meet him. I wanted to find out what was going on, but I didn't. I changed my mind. I didn't even stop. I was afraid I might do something crazy if I saw them together.
I'd like to believe you.
It's the truth.
Maybe. I hope it is, because I'd like to link the shooting up with the painting. If I can't, you're going to be in bad trouble.
You're pretty smart, aren't you?
Things just worked out this way.
You think Caesar did something with that painting for the insurance money, and you want me to help you prove it to save my own skin?
No, gorgeous, no. To save the company $250,000.
You'll never die of softening of the heart, will you? All right, what comes first?
I want to hear everything you know about this deal. And while you're telling me, I want you to help me go through this house from cupola to basement. This time I believed her story. The there still wasn't anything in it to help me. The search of the house paid off the same way. No painting, no leads, nothing. At 11 p.m., I left, looked up the Modan home address, and bearded the other point of the triangle in her den.
It's terribly late, Mr. Dollar. It's after 11.
Your father here?
He's upstairs in his studio. Wouldn't tomorrow morning be better?
Maybe for you, but not for me. I don't want to give you all that time to get your story straight.
Story straight?
Why'd you meet Rideau at the gallery tonight?
Don't say that's any of your affair. A girl has a right to meet her fiancé when and where she wishes.
Fiancé?
Yes. They're to be married as soon as possible.
You were with him when he was shot. Why did you leave him?
Because I was terrified. Caesar told me to go. He thought she was trying to kill me.
Did he say it was Lily, or is this your idea?
Of course it was she. Who else would it be? Mr. Dollar, this situation is unpleasant enough without these insinuations from you that I don't even understand. It means nothing to you. It is a matter for the police. You have no right to meddle in our lives. You are sent here to look for village scene.
That's what I'm doing. Why are you marrying that self-styled dictator?
Because I love him.
Well, that won't stay down. Nobody but Caesar Rideau could love Caesar Rideau.
Right. It's because I'm tired of being a poor man's daughter. I want to get away. I finally decided what I want out of marriage. What he can give me. He's going to be a big man, a wealthy one. And I'm going to be his wife.
Teresa.
I'm sorry you heard that, Mr. Modan.
Oh, Teresa.
Stay out of it, Father. I've made up my mind. Go to bed.
Go to bed with those words in my ear. My daughter, what has happened? What has that man done to you?
Be quiet, Father.
Teresa, wait. We will not be poor always.
Go. Don't talk to me.
How can this be? Suddenly, she is no longer Teresa.
I didn't sleep too well that night. An all-night car line that ran past my hotel didn't help. Neither did the questions that were running around in my head. But what grew in importance was the realization that the lives of everyone who had come in contact with the village scene had been emotionally upset since I'd arrived in Boston. That is, all but Caesar Rideau, who'd only been shot. My half-conscious musings didn't move me forward any, but the phone call that awakened me did. Yeah, hello.
Dollar?
Yeah, who is it?
Sergeant Hines, burglary.
Oh, how are you, Sergeant? What's new?
That fraud case you were dreaming about, it won't work.
Hey, come on. It's too early for that kind of stuff.
Sorry. Couldn't resist it. The picture's been returned.
What?
The old man Mordan didn't know where to reach you. He called us. It was returned for the reward he posted.
Have you seen it?
No, but if he's not worried, I'm not. I've got a lot of other burglaries.
Okay. Thanks for calling. I'll go right out there. It sounded good until I got halfway to the gallery. Then things began to pester me. A, the painting had been stolen in the frame. B, Mordan hadn't mentioned being an artist, yet he'd been working in his studio the night before. C, Caesar Rideau knew nothing about art, collected as an affectation. And D, Mordan had been the only one to post a reward, $5,000, offered by a poor man. Then it hit me. He knew he wouldn't have to pay it. He'd posted the reward to divert suspicion. My hunch was that he had put the picture on ice himself. When I got to Mordan's gallery, the copy Mordan had made of Village Scene was there. But also, hanging next to it, was the original.
You are surprised, Mr. Dollar.
Yeah, doubly, Mr. Mordan.
My copy is quite excellent. Do you agree?
Well, I'm not an expert, Mordan.
It is very good, I think. I am pleased with it. The most important work of my career. A work of love for Teresa.
Yeah, I understand.
She was an ambitious girl, always. Well, that is not a fault. She is like her mother, born for good things. I could not give them to her. Caesar Rideau could. He's soon coming for his canvas.
Well, no crime has been committed, except theoretically. You copied the original, meant to sell it, but you didn't. Maybe Rito won't press charges.
Perhaps not. When he came the first time into our life, I knew. The way he looked at her, I knew he wanted to take her away from me. Then the gifts, more expensive, each one money to buy. You should understand, Mr. Dollar. This copy is a work of hate, too.
You don't have to tell me these things. Why don't we wait till he gets here and see what he's going to do?
Yeah, we wait. But I must say these things that are in my heart. To attempt a copy was wrong, and it was not wrong. To little Bruegel's village scene was nothing. He was blind. I hoped with the money I could hold Teresa. But I waited too long. I was too late. He's taken her from me with his money.
Come on, Miss Modan. I think you'd better sit down.
No, listen. Listen, here he has come. I must be strong. Show him he is no bigger than I am.
Hello, Modan. Dollar.
Well.
Except for a little blood, everything turned out just like it should.
The insurance company will be happy.
Where is my daughter?
Why, she's in the car. She thought it would be better if she didn't come in.
Yeah, perhaps she is right.
Oh, come on, Pop. I'll take good care of her. Now, come on, you just give me my picture and we can forget. Hey, wait a minute. What's this? There's two of them.
Yeah, two of them.
What's the matter with you, Modan?
What is the matter? In all my life, there has been no shame until now. There, you see on the wall. Deceit. For that, I am ashamed.
We can still forget it.
And in your car, waiting for you, my daughter. For her, I feel the greatest shame. I give her my blessings.
Modan.
Hey, no!
My blessings.
No!
Drop the gun to the floor. Go over to that chair and sit down.
I could do nothing else. Now, it is finished.
Mr. Dollar.
Your father killed him. He thought he was doing it for you.
No, there was no reason.
Teresa, come on. Come on, pull yourself together.
Caesar knew my father had made a copy and that he was going to sell the original. But he didn't care. As long as I married him, he wouldn't have done anything to Father. And now Caesar's dead. My father is a murderer.
There wasn't much left for me to do in Boston. I made the statement that caused Andre Modan to be booked for murder, a father who didn't know when to stop protecting his daughter. I paid a farewell visit to Teresa, the daughter who had put her father where he was by trying to help him. And I mentioned to Sergeant Hines that if he cared, it had to be Lily Swanson who had thrown those wild shots into Rito at the gallery. Expense account item 2, $8. Return trip to Hartford. Expense account total, $68.30. And I want to go on record right now as saying that the next time anybody sends me out after a masterpiece, my expense account is going to be a masterpiece of overstatement. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, stars Edmund O'Brien in the title role and was written by Gil Dowd and Paul Dudley, with music composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Edmund O'Brien can currently be seen starring in the Harry M. Popkin United Artists production, D.O.A. Featured in our cast were Charles McGraw, Walter Burke, Lillian Baeff, Robert Griffin, James Nusser, Joan Banks, and Tyler McVeigh. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. Join us again next week when, from Hollywood, Edmund O'Brien returns in another transcribed adventure of...
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Millionaires, a man with a little black bag turns up on most of these CBS stations every Wednesday night. And out of it comes some of the most light-hearted and most moving stories on the air. The man? Why, it's Dr. Christian, of course. And tomorrow night's the night for another of his famous visits. Be sure to hear Dr. Christian starring Gene Hirschholt as the beloved small-town physician every Wednesday night. Now stay tuned for the adventures of Philip Marlowe, which follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. This is CBS, where Wednesday night is Bing Crosby night, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Edmund O'Brien as...
Johnny Dollar.
I got $500 here for you.
And all I have to do is guess the mystery voice. Is it Julius Caesar?
This is Western Union, and there's a message with it. Building irregularities suspected, Manhattan, Nebraska. Proceed there immediately. Stay Cheyenne Hotel. Will advise. Regards, Paul McGraw, Chief Investigator, Great Chesapeake Fidelity and Insurance Guarantee.
Okay, thanks.
Sounds like you're in for some real fun, Mr. Dollar.
I am?
During the war, I was stationed near Manhattan, Nebraska.
Good town?
Good town. It made a Texas Army camp look like the promised land.
Edmund O'Brien in another transcribed adventure of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Mr. Paul McGraw, Chief Investigator, Great Chesapeake Fidelity and Insurance Guarantee, Hartford, Connecticut. The following is an account of expenditures incurred during investigation conducted on behalf of your company, or the story of the Big Red Schoolhouse. Expense account. Item, transportation, $134 plane fare, New York to Omaha. Item, transportation, $3.95 bus fare, Omaha to Manhattan, Nebraska, which a fellow passenger told me was a quiet, sleepy little town. But which seemed to be celebrating Rip Van Winkle Day as I stepped off the bus. Nobody was walking, and everybody was running. I followed the crowd in the general direction of the excitement. 2 blocks north of the main street, the fire crews were hard at work playing the hoses on what was very shortly not going to be the new high school building. And that's where a little man with black curly hair introduced himself.
I am Paco Gonzalez. I carry those bricks myself. Watch fine new school grow up under my own hand. What's the matter? How come these buildings I worked so hard on for 16 months goes down in 16 minutes, huh? I ask you, mister, how come these...
Oh, now, calm down. What are you talking about, you? Like everyone else in Manhattan, Nebraska, I spent the next 3 hours working with the emergency fire and disaster squads. And by 8 o'clock that night, we seemed to have it under control. I finally dragged myself over to the Cheyenne Hotel. But before I could leave the front desk, I had a long-distance call from you, McGraw.
Johnny, where have you been? I've been trying to
There's been a big fire here in town. Everybody had to work on it.
Did Joe Stankovich get in touch with you yet?
Who's Joe Stankovich?
A guy who lives there. He tipped us, said something about a building we're covering being in bad shape.
What building's that?
A new high school, just put up 6 months ago.
And it fell down tonight.
What?
In a heap. The building will retail now at a junkyard for about $35.
Well, you better start with this Joe Stankovich and see what it's all about, Johnny.
Right. Mac, I'll keep in touch. So long.
So long.
Room clerk, have you got city directory around here?
Yeah, city directory in this burg? Yeah. Who do you want to find, Mr. Dollar? I know everybody in and out.
Man named Stankovich, Joe Stankovich.
Yeah, oh, him. City morgue.
What? When?
He just came over the radio. They picked up what was left of him out of the fire. Yeah, and that ain't much.
Joe Stankovich had no survivors and no close friends. He lived in the basement of the school and kept to himself. That was all I found out about him after asking questions around town for an hour or so. About 11 o'clock, I started back to the hotel. Turning a corner by an alley, 2 men in dark clothes were holding a third man in a tweed suit. The fourth man was giving him everything. Hey! Hey! When I came up, the 3 men scattered like burglars. The man they were beating pitched forward, and I caught him before he fell. You need some help, mister.
Everybody needs help. But let me tell you who I am before you help me. Maybe you won't want to.
All right, who are you?
Bill Garrett.
Yeah?
You don't live here, do you?
No, I just got in town this morning.
I was the architect on that school. Well, don't you understand, Samaritan? Don't you see? Those 3 men were a group of citizens. Their kids could have been in that school when it caught fire and collapsed. And I'm afraid they feel that I don't design especially strong buildings. His
office address was in his billfold. I hailed a cab and took him over there after stopping by a drugstore for bandages, iodine, and something to take off the chill. While I was patching him up, I remembered how he'd stood there without a sound while they did that to him. When he came around, I told him who I was and what I was doing there.
You represent a powerful company, Mr. Dollar. But you're wasting time. You'll learn nothing from anyone in this town.
I kind of thought you might tell me something, Garrett.
Yeah, of course. I could tell you every delicious scandal that's happened here for the past 30 years. Every exquisite depravity and violation of the sanctity of human intelligence.
Oh, no, I mean about the school building.
Well, I can tell you there wasn't any reason for those boilers to be fired today. That there wasn't any reason for them to blow up. But they did.
Any idea why?
Lots of ideas. And all of them bad, Dollar. Real bad.
Okay, tell me.
Look, I was raised here. I went to college over in Lincoln. And one day I came back an architect. I was going to make the whole place over. Nice buildings, nice streets, everything. You saw what happened. The school was my first big project.
Yeah?
I drew it 4 years ago, revised it a year later.
And the city hired you?
Better than that. I was so good, the day they broke ground on that school, I left for Paris to study at the Sorbonne.
Then you weren't in town while it was being constructed?
I was out learning how to build even better things. I got back in town 4 days ago. I went over to see my building. Well, here's a laugh for you. They used my outside drawing, that's all. Looked like they made up the rest of it as they went along. I went over to see the building contractor to ask him about it. Double talk. He told me to keep my mouth shut if I ever expected to do any more work for the city.
This building contractor, what's his name?
He has a perfect name, Dollar. A fine, sunburned man with lots of good teeth and not an ounce of fat on his broad frame. Big Jim Madden.
Where can I find him? 20 or 30 irate citizens of Manhattan had already gathered outside Jim Madden's home, with the 10 uniformed men from the local sheriff's office forming a half-moon circle across the close-clipped lawns, as well as the 2 standing guard over the yellow convertible in the driveway, meant there'd be no kind of beating up around there. My identification card got me inside, where I waited around in a den that was stocked with good liquor and good leather chairs. Finally, a big man in a blue suit walked in.
Dollar?
Uh-huh.
I'm Jim Madden. You're the insurance man. What can I do for you?
Tell me everything you can about that high school building.
City made a claim yet?
I don't know.
Uh-huh. You just happened to be in town.
We heard something might be wrong with that building. Apparently there was.
Who told you a thing like that? 2 boilers explode and there's something wrong with the building? Is that the way you people figure?
We check into things.
Well, so do we, and we couldn't find anything wrong.
Who's your we?
Me and the boys. Officially with the city construction department. We just had a big meeting.
Yeah? I figured those people hanging around outside ought to be worrying you.
Well, they don't worry me, and you don't worry me. Drunken janitor goes to sleep last night without turning down the boilers. The pressure kicks way up, the joint blows apart and burns down.
That what you decided in that meeting?
That's about it. It was a terrible accident, and we'll have to use an old garage or something for a school. But then we'll get around to building another with the insurance money we have coming.
Good walls don't tumble out from that kind of explosion. We have to have some kind of specifications on that.
Easy, Dollar, easy. Of course you do, of course you do. Anything at all. Yeah, there you are. All the building specifications on the high school, okay?
That'll do for now.
Good. Now you can get out of my house. You smell smoky.
There There were 50 pages of specifications on that building materials used in the construction of the school. They looked all right. They also looked as if they could have been forgeries. I tried to get hold of Bill Garrett, but he didn't answer his phone. Then I noticed an inspection receipt at the back of the folder. It was signed by the local building inspector, a man named Mike DeGuerra.
You stay up late, whoever you are, but come on in anyway.
The woman standing in the doorway was tall and blonde and smoking a longer than you can buy cigarette that went with the black filmy thing she was wearing.
You say your name's Johnny Dollar and you want to talk to Mike, huh? I'm Vivian DeGuerra, and Mike isn't home just now, but you can wait for him and talk to me. I'm not bad company. Would a drink help?
Help what?
Whatever's wrong with you. You look tired.
It might, but I'd rather not. I just came by to talk to your husband.
You said that. What do you want to talk to him about?
Business?
At 1 in the morning?
Look, you probably missed your dinner tonight, and you've been getting all your nourishment out of a bottle.
And you're kind of afraid Mike will walk in?
No, Mike DeGuerra won't walk in. He's already walked out. And you're feeling kind of sorry for yourself.
Why, I didn't...
A man, if he lives in a place, is an ashtray or a picture or yesterday's sports section lying around the front room. There's nothing like that in this room. And if I walked over to that closet 10 to 1, I wouldn't find any of his clothes. Come on, tell me. When did he lamb out of town?
Stop, you're hurting my arm.
Come on, when?
3 months ago. Get out of here.
Why? Where is he?
Find him and ask him. You're the detective.
Paul, Johnny Dollar. It's a mess here. Your man Stankovich's dad was killed in the fire. Well, political wraparound. The school was a fix on something or other, dough somewhere, the town sewed up tight, all kinds mixed up in it, somewhere.
Yeah, that kind of thing, huh? Well, stay where you are, Johnny. I'm sending you 8 men. If they want to play that way, we'll play that way. Get to the bottom of this.
3 seconds after I hung up the phone, I found out how much of a mess it really was. That's when my hotel door opened and a man lurched across the room toward me.
Dollar.
He stood in front of me, swaying back and forth, his hands clutching his coat. He fell before I could get to him. 3 bullet holes formed a neat trio across where his tie pin should have been. I ran my fingers through his coat, pulled out his wallet. The driver's license read Mike DeGuerra, age 39, occupation, building inspector.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. But first, the king of the cowboys, Gene Autry, will be riding the CBS range again this Saturday night. And Gene will be singing 2 of your favorites, Funny Little Bunny and Home on the Range. This Saturday, CBS also will take you on another trip with Vaughn Monroe's Caravan. You can hear them both every Saturday night on most of these same CBS stations. Vaughn Monroe and Gene Autry. Now, with our star, Edmund O'Brien, we return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
After they took Mike DeGuerra's body to the morgue, the local constables held me all that night in custody. Several Cheyenne hotel employees, finding nothing better to do for excitement, finally showed up to certify that DeGuerra had come into the hotel already shot up. So I was clean, and they let me leave a little after dawn. When I got back to my room, Paul McGraw's contingent of operatives had already arrived. There was Ralph Haycraft from Continental, Carl Royal, Chip Hannigan, who handled the St. Louis diamond heist, Patty Phillips from Detroit, Rocky Andresano, reliable Jerry Cotte, Tip Miller, Rod Cornile, and a guy who saved my life once in Denver, K.G. Peterson.
Johnny, how are you?
Hi, fine. Hey, how's everybody, huh? Chip, Patty, Ralph, good to see you.
Chesapeake's certainly spreading the dough around. What's the scoop, Johnny?
This is a big one. It's going to take all of us. Now, if you'll sit down, I'll go over it for you. All right, here's the story. Chesapeake insured a high school building here about 6 months ago. Yesterday, it fell on its face. 1, it was not built to specifications, or 2, somebody blew it down, or both. In any case, we don't pay off. But we have to prove our case. Now, there are too many leads for one man to follow before they evaporate. The guy who signed the building inspection papers was killed last night, a guy named Mike DeGuerra. Carl and Chip, that's your job. Find out everything about him, his bank account, his friends, his troubles, his wife, everything. Oh, his wife, yeah, she's living at 113 South Street.
You'd find a girl on Mount Everest, Johnny.
Well, she's not my type, honestly. Robin Tip, your man is the building contractor, Big Jim Madden. He's cocky, belligerent, but I think you guys can handle him. Run him down. Bank accounts, purchase orders, what kind of money he spends, so on. Patty and Ralph, find out everything about Stankovich, the janitor who was found in the ruins. Rocky and Jerry, start talking with anybody in town who might know anything. Bars, restaurants, street corners, teachers, pupils, anybody, anywhere. And report back to me anytime you want. Now, don't push anybody around, but don't let anybody push you guys around. Anyone have anything to say?
Yeah, just one thing. Let's get this thing over so I can get back to Philadelphia. I'm about to become a father.
I thought I'd sit back a while and see what kind of birds were flushed up from the dusty meadows of Manhattan, Nebraska. An hour later, my first bird winged in. But it wasn't at all what I expected. It was a tall, gray-haired man, His Honor, Mayor Randall.
Mr. Dollar, I've seen the men you brought into town today, and I wanted to talk with you about them.
Fine. What about in particular?
Yeah, the events of the past 24 hours in this town have been deplorable and grossly injurious to the public welfare. The collapse of our beautiful schoolhouse, the death of our beloved janitor Stankovich, and the untimely murder of one of our respected public servants, Mr. DeGuerra. All have grieved me deeply.
None of which were caused by any of my investigators, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, my purpose here is not a belligerent one, Mr. Dollar. On the contrary, I came seeking assistance. We are a small community with a rudimentary police force, not equipped for major criminal investigations. I want these matters brought to a head and cleared up. And I came to offer a complete cooperation between you and our municipal government.
I never turned down cooperation, Mayor, and I'll accept yours. You can begin by telling me everything you know about the schoolhouse.
Oh, certainly. It was commissioned 2 years ago, designed by William Garrett, built by James Madden 6 months ago. The unfortunate Mr. DeGuerra inspected it and called it up to snuff. And on the basis of his official inspection, your company insured it. I had no idea until yesterday that it was an unsafe building.
Was DeGuerra reliable?
I know nothing about his personal life, Mr. Dollar, but in his job he was competent and above reproach.
He couldn't have been competent if he approved an unsafe building.
Yes, I wondered about that myself, but I'm not prepared at the moment with an answer.
Where are the purchase orders for the materials used in that building?
Purchase orders?
Yeah.
Purchase orders. I can't seem to recall. Well, they were undoubtedly destroyed along with other useless paper matters that were accumulated from the construction work.
Material purchase orders are never useless when the building falls down afterwards. If you find them, I'd like to be invited in.
Well, I will certainly look for them, Mr. Dollar. I want to cooperate with you in every way.
I'm sure you do, and you'll hear from me when I need something. Thank you, Mayor, and good day.
Oh, by the way, the city council will, of course, have to file an immediate claim with your company.
We take the bitter with the sweet. I pondered his statement for a while and got nowhere. There are mayors and mayors, and this one was of the old school, full of cliches and overblown rhetoric and nothing else. In a little while, calls began coming in from the men. Chip reported that during the building construction, Mike DeGuerra had made 4 deposits of $5,000 each in the bank. His salary was $7,500 a year. I thought another talk with Mrs. DeGuerra was in order and made for her house. She answered the door with tears in her eyes, a black lace handkerchief, and a black dress. It was tight, satin, and low cut. Not exactly Emily Post for mourning, but it was black.
Oh, Mr. Dollar, I'm glad you came. I'm so unhappy and lost.
I can see. May I come in?
Why not? Is there anything special you want, Mr. Dollar?
I'm sorry to cut in on your hour of bereavement, Mrs. DeGuerra, but under the circumstances,
I know. I'm not sure I can help you any. I'm so broken up.
If you're not careful, you might drown in those tears.
You cheap gumshoe.
You dropped your act. Well, don't bother to pick it up. And that dance hall dress and shoes. Is that what you thought was expected of you? Look, this setup creaks from top to bottom. Come on now. Your late husband made $7,500 a year and deposited $20,000 in 6 months. Does that figure?
I don't know anything about his money. All I know is the bank told me he only had $300 left.
What did he do with it?
What do you think? He spent it on other women.
Then why the tragic act?
Not very good at it, am I?
Not the best?
I really loved him. He loved me. We kicked it away because we both wanted more excitement than this town or his salary could give us. There was no place to go. We just didn't get along. He was out spending his money on other women, being a big shot. I can't blame him, though. I helped make him do it.
What about the money? He got it for falsifying the school inspection papers, didn't he?
Well, he didn't get it inventing the telephone.
Who gave it to him?
I don't know.
Well, who do you think killed him, and why?
I don't know that either.
What do you know?
Look, you didn't leave any insurance, see, and I got to live the best way I can. If I stay in this town, I got to keep friends. If I don't want to keep them, I got no choice but to move, and that takes money.
I wonder what could possibly be on your mind.
The company you represent handles insurance, doesn't it?
263 different kinds.
Are you particular what kind of premiums you collect?
We pay off on a lot of things. Just what kind of insurance were you thinking about, madam?
$2,000 endowment. Got your pen?
No. But my word's good at the cashier's cage. What do you got?
I'm trusting you. Mike got that $20,000 from the Universal Rock Company for, quote, services rendered, unquote. You know who owns the rock company?
Big Jim Madden?
Close enough. Big Jim's brother. Last night, when Mike showed up in town, he was gunning for trouble.
Why?
He said they were going to make a patsy out of him, and he wasn't going to take the rap for anybody. That's what he said. I think he ran out of money and came back to make a touch in exchange for disappearing again.
And Madden shot him.
I didn't say that because I don't know. How do I get my insurance?
Yeah, if what you say is true, I'll have to check first. I finally tore myself away from the grieving widow and headed back for the hotel in case any of the boys called. On my way down Main Street, getting the worst end of the local stairs, someone with a wrinkled coat and bourbon on his breath stepped out of a doorway and stopped me. Bill Garrett, the architect.
Dollar?
Yeah, Garrett, what is it?
I finally got up courage enough to do something decent. Decent for me, anyway. For anybody else, it would be too low to talk about.
What was it?
Well, I'm not much of a lawyer, but they say there's a statute in the books that says a private citizen may commit a crime to prevent a greater crime from being committed and still go free. Is that right?
Most states have it. I suppose Nebraska does, too.
Well, I committed a crime. I'm a Fagin, that's what I am.
So long, Garrett. I'm busy.
Oh, now, Johnny, wait a minute. No. Just written on the head of a pin, it goes this way. I had a secretary in the mayor's office steal something from his private file. Here. The purchase orders for our humble contribution to ageless architecture, the Little Red Schoolhouse. Signed by no other spotless member of our model community than James G. Madden.
I looked at them, and they were as advertised. Purchase orders complete down to the last 10-penny nail. Not being a technical expert, I decided to shoot them back to Paul McGraw for his perusal. I sent them from the local post office, insured, registered airmail, and special delivery. Then I walked up the steps of the city hall for a chat with His Honor.
Good afternoon, Dollar. My door is open to you anytime.
Glad you feel that way, and I hope you still do when I finish.
You finish what, Dollar?
Calling you a liar?
Now, see here.
Save the B-picture dialogue for your next campaign. I thought you told me the purchase orders on the schoolhouse were destroyed.
Well, to my knowledge, they were.
Look in your personal file. Folder marked Madden, personal, hold.
I don't know what you mean.
Go on, look. No, don't bother. Because all you'll find is an empty space. You ought to see your face, Mayor. Well, Mayor, they were in there, but somebody stole them and gave them to me. Yeah. I sent them to my company for examination, and I'm sure somebody's going to be in a jackpot when the material purchased doesn't come up to the specifications of the building.
Dollar, this is outrageous.
Indeed it is. And it was outrageous from the day your city started to build that school.
Well, all right. I'll tell you why I did what I did.
For money.
Keep your filthy insinuations to yourself.
Insinuation? Your Honor. That was a plain statement.
I wanted to spare this city the loss of faith it would suffer, seeing one of its most prominent citizens exposed and driven out. A man is entitled to one mistake in his life, and Jim Madden is no exception. I planned to bring him to a private accounting and make him replace the money he made on that building and repair it to specifications. Only the tragedy occurred before I took matters in hand.
You had 6 months to do it. And every day of that 6 months, 1,800 students might have been killed. And one man was killed.
No one knows that better than I. But once having decided on this course of action, I didn't know how to go about rectifying things. My intentions were good, but they went astray in the interests of humanity and brotherhood.
Mayor Randall, you are as full of wind as a Chicago street. You are not only windy, you're corny, stupid, careless, and you're criminal. On the strength of what you told me here, my company will never pay that claim.
Dollar, I was trapped.
Look, I'm going to pick up Madden right now, and Randall, I suggest that you give yourself up to your own police chief before I have him do it for me. I raced back to my hotel to organize my men and pick up Madden. When I came in, the phone was ringing. It was Rocky Androsano saying he had 2 witnesses to DeGuerra's shooting. I told him to pick up the boys and come right over. I hung up just as the door opened, and 3 sullen characters with brick dust on their shoulders came in, uninvited.
Want to come with us, Dollar?
What do you need? 4th at Bridge?
Come on.
No, thanks.
Guys, that'll do it.
It was strictly no contest, and with one on each side working a punishing arm lock, I casually strolled out of the room and down the elevator to the street. We were coming out of the hotel when I saw Rocky, Chip, KG, Ralph crossing the street. My boys did real well, especially KG Peterson, who was in a hurry to get back to his wife. After we subdued the Hoods, I said a few words to their leader.
Don't ask me nothing.
Sorry, this is quiz night. Madden sent you, didn't he?
Never heard of him. You wouldn't do that by yourself.
We're not proving that. Talk.
Lay off. Lay off. Of course he sent us. Who else?
Where were you supposed to take me and why?
Why, I don't know. Where? The Universal Rock Company on the edge of town.
It was a huge, dusty building next to some intricate rock-crushing machinery. Parked in front of it were 3 cars. A yellow convertible, such as a well-to-do contractor might drive, a long black sedan, such as a city official might have, and a small sedan, such as anybody might have. We covered all the exits, and KG Peterson and I went up the front way. We were halfway up to the offices when we pounded up to the landing just as Big Jim Madden staggered out of an open office and fell twisting on the stairs. Through the open door, I saw a flash of black skirt and a hand holding a gun that started jumping. Give me that.
It's empty.
Dollar.
It's all right, Mayor. I'll get an ambulance out here as soon as I can. We took Vivian DeGuerra into custody. Randall was in bad shape, and he died 2 hours later. But before he died, he told me the whole story.
It was my idea, from beginning to end. Madden didn't want to do it, but I told him if he didn't, he'd never get another contract from this city. We were able to split $100,000 with the cheap supplies we used in that building.
Well, when I showed up Madden, he was afraid he was going to take the rap alone, huh? He was afraid he'd end up like Mike DeGuerra. That right?
Yes, I had to have DeGuerra killed. He wanted more money.
And you kept the purchase orders so you could make Madden do what you wanted him to do.
When he found out that your company had them, he was going to turn both of us in. I talked him out of it.
Yeah, with a gun. He's dead.
He's better that way. Why is it there's always a falling out among thieves?
That was the last question Mayor Randall ever asked on Earth. And like other men before him who had lived with deceit and treachery, Randall didn't live long enough to get an answer. It turned out he had an ex-wife in Detroit and a daughter living in Miami, but neither one of them claimed his body. His estate was tied up by the city, and the county buried him in Potter's Field, right next to another thief named Jim Madden. No one wrote anything on their headstones. No one cared. The reform city government was too busy floating a bond issue for a new high school. Bill Garrett's going to design it, and this time, I'm pretty sure they'll follow his plans. Expense account total, $3,227. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, stars Edmund O'Brien in the title role and was written by E. Jack Newman and John Michael Hayes, with music composed and conducted by Leith Stevens. Edmund O'Brien can currently be seen starring in Harry M. Popkin's United Artists production, DOA. Featured in our cast were Victor Perrin, Elliott Reed, Hy Averback, Clayton Post, Bill Conrad, Virginia Gregg, and Willer Waterman. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, is produced and directed by Jaime Del Valle. Join us next week when, from Hollywood, Edmund O'Brien will appear in another transcribed adventure of
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
You Can Bet Your Life it's fun. It's a laugh a minute. You Can Bet Your Life it's full of surprises. It's radio's craziest quiz show, and you bet your life it'll be one of your favorites when you join Groucho Marx every Wednesday over most of these same CBS stations for You Bet Your Life. Now stay tuned for the adventures of Philip Marlowe, which follows immediately over most of these same stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.